you talk about a political party, this is not exactly a formal group. It's also an informal group. They are not part of our administration as such. Here we are collaborating. We are ready to learn. We are ready to make improvements. We are ready to bring changes to it according to the necessity. They are trying to protect whatever research that they are creating. They want to protect it. Under new public service, government has to be accountable to everyone. Can court demand? Definitely it can demand. There is nothing wrong with it. But literally questioning a government, give us all the facts and figures, give us all the data, that is like stretching it a stretch further.
So if the states fail to give the formal guidelines, etc., judiciary can pull up the concerned state government. Judiciary pulling up the concerned state government means, understand, judiciary will be pulling up the chief secretary. Government is supposed to be doing it, but who has done it? High Court itself has appointed. Both are right in their own respected perspective, but still there is a conflict. UP, Haryana, Rajasthan, everywhere now, whichever comes under the NCR region, they all will have to impose what? A complete ban.
Hello everyone, welcome to OnlyIAS YouTube channel. Hope you're all doing great today. Well, you all know I'm teaching public administration in OnlyIAS. Now, many a times students always keep asking, sir, how to link it with current affairs? Because that is the main key. And if you are my student or even if you are not, one of the major challenges that many students face, at least in the initial part when they are doing the optional, is how to interlink it. Because the problem here is that theories are taught separately, that is paper 1, and paper 2 is taught separately. Very few faculties are out there who are literally able to interlink it. And one of the major reasons for that is, generally in most of the offline academies, what they generally do is they split the subject between two faculties. And while taking paper 1, the paper 1 faculty will say, current affairs related application, you can ask your paper 2 faculty. And when you are talking about a paper 2 faculty, they will also tell the same thing. They will say that now how to relate it with which thinker or theory, you can ask your paper 1 faculty. Basically, they are passing away the responsibility. Now here what we are going to do is, even if you have already done your coaching or if you're still undergoing your coaching, we are going to see in December month, the articles which you might have thought these are harmless, these are not important, how you can connect it with paper 1 theory. That is what we are going to do here. We can see how we are going to use the examples, how we are going to use different thinkers or theories from paper 1 to connect it with the news that has appeared for the month of December 2024. So without any further delay, taking you right into it, this is my official Telegram channel. Any queries or doubts that you have with regard to public administration, or for that matter with regard to answer writing any of the GS subjects, GS 1, 2, 3, 4 and essay, you can contact me right here. Clear? Once you join the channel, please don't forget to join the view discussion channel. Every main Telegram channel will have a discussion group. Please join that also. All right, it's a simple process. Once you join this channel, click on my name at the top that you see, click on that. Then it will take you to another window where you'll find again to the top right corner, you will see 3 dots, vertical dots. Click on that. A window will pop up and there you will see view discussion. Click on that, you can enter the discussion channel, because in the main channel, it's only a one-way communication where only I'll be able to post things. In the discussion channel, you can ask your queries, you can ask your doubts, you can even ask things associated with public administration or any other subject that you feel or you're finding difficulty. GS subjects I'm talking about. All right. So without any further delay, taking right into it, the Cookie Students Organization has asked the National Testing Agency to establish a University Grants Commission. A University Grants Commission, National Eligibility Test Center in Manipur's Churchandpur district ahead of the exams slated for January 2025. So this clearly shows that today it is about participative management. Government cannot, or government bodies cannot ignore the informal groups in the 21st century. Now, why did the association make such a demand? They have made such a demand because of the ongoing violence that is happening in Manipur. They are fearing for their safety, so they have asked it. On a similar note, if you see, Election Commission agrees to review Congress concerns on Maharashtra ports. Again, when you talk about a political party, this is not exactly a formal group. It's also an informal group. They are not actually part of our administration as such. Correct? It's just a political party. A party it is. But Election Commission has agreed to basically review the concerns that Congress party has kept for when it comes to the Maharashtra polls. What does it indicate? Participative management, importance of informal groups. That means even constitutional bodies are ready to engage with informal groups so as to smoothen the process of administration as well as to put at rest any fear with regard to authenticity or with regard to safety or whatever. Because the era is about what? Governance. Clear, people? Moving on. Odisha accuses West Bengal of playing politics over potato. Now, why is this? Due to the restrictions. 1 minute. Due to the restrictions imposed by the West Bengal government, trucks laden with potatoes have not been allowed to cross the border since Wednesday night. Now, that particular news article is important for the only reason what this is again shows the conflict between states over something as simple as a potato. So, what is the solution for this? It is Mary Parker Police integration. That is a solution here. Clear? Why integration is very valid? And again, the need for platforms like interstate councils. Clear, people? Moving on. 43 years after death of IAF officer, his wife reconnects with host, gets rupees 1 crore in dues. This has been made possible through Project Sambandh. Not actually a formal project created by any organization. It was actually started by Colonel Vembu Shankar, retired, a Shauryan Chakra awardee and founder of Project Sambandh. That is basically to re-establish the relationships between the IAF officers or their families who have, maybe in the course of time they have passed away or they are facing some issues or difficulty. So Project Sambandh now, an IAF officer who died at the hands of robbers while he was in the train, while he was traveling from north to south. At that point of time, he was murdered. He was killed by the robbers. And it took 43 years for the pension to find its rightful heir or the rightful beneficiary for it. 43 years it took. This also shows why at times bureaucracy is being ridiculed or bureaucracy is being criticized. Because see, for everything there is a process and a procedure. And that process or the procedure, when it comes to bureaucracy, always what matters is what? Rules, objectivity, neutrality. Correct? These are some of the features of bureaucracy. But we also know that this will lead to either formalism or ritualism. So, what is the real reason for this? One of the reasons is the widow, she shifted to Australia in 1984 and she remarried in 2002, due to which her pension was stopped. Despite being entitled to a pension allowances owing to her husband's gallantry award, she did not receive the benefits as the spelling of her name was incorrect and the documents were insufficient. These were rectified under Project Sambandh. Unfortunately, there are two sides when you actually stick to rules completely. You stick for neutrality. You're not going to show any favor or fear. But the end result is what? Sometimes because you are following the rules very closely, even though a beneficiary is entitled to the benefits, it can get denied for the simple reason as something as simple as spelling. And in our country, let me tell you, it is a very big issue. Because the problem here is that one of the main reasons, let me tell you again, it is a culture of putting initials. Like for example, even my name has an initial, Nikhil Ram K. Why that K? Why can't we expand and keep it? The problem with putting the K is that now in the old generation, what they used to do was, depending upon their mood, sometimes they'll put the K in front or they'll put the K in back. There was no consistency to it. But once as years progressed, because we can see that from 2002, when she remarried, she stopped getting her pension. That means from that point onwards, every detail started mattering. So even if you have an initial which is there in your 10th standard certificate, but which is absent in your Aadhaar, you are in for trouble. So that is the reason, again, on a personal note, for my son, I clearly told to my family that no initial business. There will be only his name and his father's name. Done. Nothing more after that, family name, this name, not needed, not relevant. Because it just creates unnecessary confusion and will create problems like this. Now, is this only associated, this name issue, is this only associated with this particular news? Or is it only associated with people who are well off? No. We are going to see again further articles which clearly shows how this can create trouble. Taking it further forward, snakebite cases to become a notifiable disease, says Center. And once a disease becomes notifiable, now you will have to collect data for it. You will have to keep medications for it. You will have to keep the antidotes for it. All this has to be kept at hospital level. You have to take measures to prevent it. The reason for this center deciding this is because of the constant feedback that they were getting with regard to the snakebite becoming a major cause for death of people. Some of you from the word feedback itself would have understood this is basically an example for our systems theory. You can even put what the example of contingency theory also here, because the situation has become so severe now that they have made the change. That is, snakebite has been made a notifiable disease. Taking it further forward, Cuttack Hospital likely to be a one-stop center for sickle cell anemia treatment. Odisha is among the states most affected by the disease in India, with 89,329 individuals diagnosed with sickle cell anemia. A one-stop solution. And if you actually see, a team from the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, visited the hematology department at SCB Medical College, Cuttack, to assess its potential for development as a one-stop center for the treatment of sickle cell anemia. And this is again part of the National Sickle Cell Anemia Elimination Mission, which was launched in 2023. Getting the point here. So this is again a classic example of what? Collaborative governance. The fact that it is a one-stop solution, one-stop center, is akin to one best method of Taylor. But in the modern era, one best one-stop center and linking it with Taylor only means what? Effectively, it is neo-Taylorism. Because here it is not a closed model. It is not that one best method we have, so we will not update it anymore. No. Here we are collaborating. We are ready to learn. We are ready to make improvements. We are ready to bring changes to it according to the necessity. So because of all this, it is an example of neo-Taylorism. And why are we making it as the one-stop solution? If you go to Odisha, you can get your sickle cell anemia cured. Why are we doing it? Because Odisha has the highest burden. That is the main reason. Clear? Taking it further forward, the CBSE has cracked down on schools that offer students attendance in lieu of school fee so that children can spend that time training for entrance examinations to college. Now, everywhere, that is, we know how a few of the behavioral thinkers basically talked about zone of indifference or acceptance. That is, whatever orders we are giving, the employees should accept them. It should fall within the zone of indifference or acceptance. Only then employees will accept it. What have schools started doing it? Because of the demand from the side of the students as well as their parents. That is, why should my child spend so much time in the school when he or she has ultimately to give IIT exam, NIT exam, or entrance test to medical colleges, where writing long answers or by hearting whatever is there in the textbook is not going to affect their outcome in any of these competitive exams. Why should my child spend so much time in school? Understanding this demand, what have a few schools done? Like if I am running a school, the school is basically telling, just give me the fees. I will put attendance for you. Go and join the academies of your choice. Getting the point here? That means the entire idea of let us listen to what they want, let us not try to impose upon anything will not work. Student psychologists as well as social psychologists are clearly telling that those are the foundation years, your 11th and 12th standard. Those years, if you don't interact with your fellow friends, your school, don't take part in curricular activities, you're sitting from morning till evening in a coaching academy, you're trying to buy heart and mug, etc., it will not build social skills. There will be a clear poverty of social skills among these students. They will literally not know how to interact, because that is again the reason why many of the students these days, they commit suicide at the smallest obstacle in their life, because they are not used to it. And they keep believing that if you work hard, you will get it. Life is not like that. Life is entirely different from all of this. So getting back to our discussion, zone of indifference or zone of acceptance, if you give it too much of emphasis, this will be the result. And how has CBSE decided to punish these schools? They have de-affiliated them. If you open the website of the CBSE and check for the schools that have lost its affiliation, it will literally comprise of schools in the capital city, that is Delhi, which are quite famous. Because when CBSE conducted a surprise study, they found that in some classes, there are hardly 1 or 2 students sitting in the class. The rest of them are not there. Teachers are also not there, because teachers are also not interested in teaching anymore. Why? No students. Most of the students have gone to academies. Teachers also will come simply, spend their time, take their salary, go home. Getting the point here? So overly, when you try to decide, try to ask the informal groups here, what do you want? What is that you need? To each individual, when you start asking and start catering to it, it will actually bring a collapse of the whole system. Like our educational system, if you literally see it today, it is literally collapsing at a faster rate than ever before. The students may be able to crack an exam, but when it comes to life, dealing with the pressures of a job, balancing your job and your personal life, they don't know that skill, or they are lacking in that skill. Clear? So this is an example of why zone of indifference or acceptance is not practical always. Clear? Moving on. Plastic treaty negotiations fail with countries split over production cuts. Again, this clearly shows why you need, in few matters, you need domination. That is, Domination as a theory was not liked by Mary Parker Foley. But the very fact that if you try to integrate, you cannot integrate everything also, because you try to bring everybody together. We can clearly see here, plastic street treaty negotiation has failed. Why? No country was able to agree over the production cuts. By what percentage will they bring down the production cut? There was no agreement. Finally, what happened? The entire thing, whatever treaty they were negotiating, the entire thing collapsed. Moving on. A February 26 Gazette notification making it mandatory for producers to sell 100% of their dusties through public auction was against the government's much wanted policy of ease of doing business. A body of tea planters and producers said in a letter to Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal. That is, government made a notification regarding what? Making it mandatory for the producers to sell 100% of their dusties through public auction. How did the Northeast Tea Association react to it? Said, producers should be at liberty to sell their produce in whatever manner they feel comfortable, as the two modes of sale, private transaction and public auction, have been in existence for more than 150 years. Getting the point here. This is again an example of what? Two-way communication. So, government issuing an order and the feedback for it being given by Northeast Tea Association giving the feedback for it. Top-down communication, importance of informal group, clear, giving a feedback. All this you can correlate over here. The US Chips and Science Act has several provisions on research security which are complemented by other guidelines. These include the Research Security Framework of the National Institute of Standards and Technology. Canada has come up with national security guidelines for research partnerships and a policy of sensitive technology research and affiliations of concern, along with a list of sensitive technology. That means both the countries, USA and Canada, are bringing in protection standards for research. Again, why? Cyber security related matters. So, they are trying to protect whatever research that they are creating, they want to protect it. Getting the picture here. Now, this particular aspect, again, if you see, what is it? Contingency theory, need of the situation. In October, the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology convened meetings with industry and experts to discuss setting up an AI Safety Institute under the India AI mission. So all of this again we can relate it with what? Law of situation. I know Mary Parker Foley's law of situation actually means who is capable of doing something, make them the leader there. That person, authority should flow from that person. But again, here also if you see, it matters. Why? Cyber security related issues are there. So it is only natural that the government or the person who is capable of doing it, in this regard, the government makes policies accordingly. US and Canadian government are doing the same. India is also doing the same when it comes to AI related security. Taking it further forward, the Department of Justice in its proposal stressed that Google's hold over the online search market had to be loosened so there can be more competition. The federal government unit has argued for a mandatory sale of the Chrome browser, possible divestment of the Android mobile operating system, a 5-year-long ban on entering the browser market, and a restriction on paying third parties like Apple to make Google the default search engine on their products. The entire, that is a federal court, Department of Justice, has basically asked for what? Mandatory sale of Chrome browser, possible divestment of the Android mobile operating system, that is, sell your shares, a 5-year-long ban on entering the browser market, and a restriction on paying third parties like Apple to make Google the default search engine on their products. This is what DOJ has proposed to Google. Now we know, and they are telling that this why they want to do it. Why has the Department of Justice said this? They said that Google was literally having a monopoly in the online search market. Now one must understand here, it is not that Google is the only search market out there. There are many other search engines are there. But why do we prefer Google rather than Bing or Microsoft or Internet Explorer or Mozilla Firefox or whatever is out there? It's user friendly. That means people have the choice. Such a ruling goes against public choice theory. Google did not become a monopoly by itself. Public made it the monopoly because public felt that is more useful and that is more easy to use. So they made it. So today, to actually use the power that a government has and to actually tell Google, don't enter into the search engine market again, you sell your shares, let there be more players, is actually what? Government unnecessarily interfering in business. It is not the government's job to interfere in business. And again, if at all the government wants to regulate also, it should be based on what? Public interest and public welfare. If government is intervening, the main concern should be what? Public welfare. The $1,000,000 question here is, where is the publicness in this? What aspect of public welfare are we talking about here? Is it such that if you don't use Google or if you use some other platform, poverty will reduce, the health factors will improve, or the educational outcome will improve? As such, nothing is there. And that is exactly the argument that Google is also putting forward. This is clearly an intervention from the government and goes against the exact principles of free market economics. This is like going literally back into the old socialist era or the classical thinkers era, where government will decide what is right, where government will decide what is efficient and what is economic. Getting the idea, people? Moving forward, the Supreme Court on Monday took a stern view of the appointment of V. Senthil Balaji as a senior cabinet minister of Tamil Nadu straight away after getting bail from the top court in a money laundering case. The court basically ruled, what is this? There are serious charges against him and he straight away becomes a minister. This must stop. People would be justified now for their apprehension that witnesses would come under pressure. So Senthil Balaji, a minister belonging to the current Tamil Nadu government, as soon as he received bail, they gave him a cabinet rank and brought him back to the council again. The government did that. Supreme Court is questioning this now. Supreme Court is literally asking, just because I gave you bail, you immediately made a minister. Now, whatever arguments that the people, the witnesses told till now, the apprehensions that public had, that this fellow, once he comes back, it will influence the witnesses, that is true. This clearly means what? Now it is left to the executive to decide who should be the member of the council and who shouldn't be. It is up to the government to decide. Executive's prerogative. And this is a clear example of what? Judicial activism. Is it justified? Absolutely yes. That is why we are calling it activism, not overreach, not adventurism. This is completely justified. Getting the point here. Poppy cultivation in Manipur decreased by 32.13% during 23 to 24 from the previous fiscal, but the opium yielding plant continues to be grown extensively in 12 of the state's 16 districts, a report prepared by Manipur Remote Sensing Application Center said. This is a very, very dangerous scenario. 12 of the state's 16 districts, they grow what? Poppy cultivation. Released by Manipur Remote Sensing Application Center. During smuggling from adjoining Myanmar and large-scale poppy cultivation by clearing jungles on the hills are said to be among the factors behind the ongoing ethnic clashes between the Métis and Kuki-Zo people in Manipur since May 3rd, 2023. That means the action taken against the drug mafia in Manipur is considered to be one among the many reasons for the conflict to continue this far. Getting the point here? According to the Marsak report, the Manipur police and other law enforcement agencies destroyed illegal poppy cultivation on 19,135 acres across 12 districts between 2017 and January 24. So, this is considered to be one reason again. So, what is the important highlight here? Again, it is informal groups like Marsak. All right. Now, this is a very, very important article. Very, very important. This is with regard to Pragati, direct public administration. So, let us see it very quickly. A study by Oxford University's said business school has lauded Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Pragati infrastructure monitoring system for accelerating 340 projects worth 205 billion across the country and bringing about economic transformation. Through Pragati, they were able to accelerate projects, 340 projects worth more than $205 billion. The study looked at factors including close monitoring of infrastructure projects and their completion since 2015 through the Pragati system, an acronym for proactive governance and timely implementation of projects. That is Pragati. Proactive governance and timely implementation of projects. India's commitment to overcoming bureaucratic inertia and fostering a Team India mindset and culture of accountability and efficiency. That means Pragati is your classic example for improving bureaucracy by electronic means. Pragati has brought together diverse stakeholders from central and state governments onto a single platform, and this collaborative approach has been instrumental in addressing some of the complex challenges in infrastructure development, from land acquisition to inter-ministerial coordination. So, central level, state level, with the collaboration being done by Pragati. Clear, people? The Supreme Court on Tuesday directed the Delhi Urban Shelter Improvement Board, DUSIB, to file a detailed affidavit explaining the night shelter facilities available for the national capital's homeless. Again, another example of what? Judicial activism. Again, you can also highlight this as an example of NPS, new public service. Why? In new public service, under new public service, everybody, government has to be accountable to everyone. The executive especially has to be accountable to everyone. You're not just accountable to the legislature or just to the judiciary. You're accountable to NGO, civil society, judiciary, media, everyone. You're answerable. Clear, people? Taking it further forward, Karnataka government seeks action against pharma company in Bellary maternal deaths case. That is, a private pharma company issued substandard fluid, the intravenous fluid that is used to inject to give them glucose and other nutrients. For issuing that substandard, because of that substandard fluid, IV fluid that was given, many new mothers who gave birth to their babies, etc., many new mothers died. So Karnataka government seeks action against a pharma company. Now, what is the point here? The point is the drawback of private sector. Drawback of private sector. Just because you privatize it, or even if you just because you bring privatization to bring into effect 3 E's, efficiency, economy, effectiveness, government cannot absolve from its responsibility of checking the quality of the service provided by the private player. Government's role of a regulator, be it that of a facilitator, government has to ensure what? Quality is maintained, standard is maintained. Here, people. Moving ahead. Outgoing US President Joe Biden has signed a presidential pardon for his son Hunter for any federal crime that he committed or may have committed or taken part in between January 1, 2024 and December 1, 2024. The younger Biden was convicted earlier this year on federal gun and drug charges and pleaded guilty to tax charges in California. That is the old president of USA, Mr. Joe Biden. His son got arrested under 3 charges. 1, gun charges. 2, drug. 3, tax. And what did he do? He pardoned him completely. Now, this is not the first time that a president of USA have used their pardoning powers to save their family members or their business friends or whoever their favorites are. This clearly shows that favoritism is still very much a part of administration. And this once again highlights why politics, administration, dichotomy is required. Because administration, what should it do? Interpret the law as it is. Whoever, irrespective of whoever it is, that is, let it be anybody. President's son, grandson, wife, whoever it is. Administration should give away the punishment just like it is given to a normal citizen. But here, what do we see? President trying to save his old son. Now, the interesting scenario here is, in repeated speeches, he had kept on telling that he will not show any favoritism, he will not show any partiality. But ultimately, as he is about to leave office, what is he doing? He is literally pardoning his son so that his son will not face any jail time. And he has done this in a hasty manner also because he is literally worried about the next administration that is going to come into power, which is Donald Trump. Clear, people? The draft heli tourism policy released by the Kerala government envisages linking commercially attractive sites closer to major tourism destinations in the state with a sizable number of footfall with chopper services. The policy lays thrust on developing infrastructure such as heliports, heli stations, and helipads on a public-private partnership basis. Simply means the state of Kerala wants to develop helicopter tourism, and that they are planning to do with whom? Through public-private partnership. This is an example of it. Clear, people? Wish men have menstruation, the Supreme Court has remarked, censuring the Madhya Pradesh High Court's decision to sack a woman judge in the state based on performance and not considering her predicament due to a miscarriage. Now, very interesting this is. That is a woman judge, not of the High Court, of a lower court. Now, she was removed. She was literally removed from her job because she was not performing well. Now, objectively, when you look at it, yes, she did not perform, remove her. That is the thing. But when you look at it on the basis of values, she has just underwent a miscarriage. That means she lost her baby. Now, those of you who have, those of them, again, if you know people who have undergone a miscarriage, only they will know how emotionally and physically it will take a toll. Physically, still you may be able to recover, maybe within 2 months, 3 months. Emotionally, there is no recovery from it that fast because you have lost your child. And the female will basically feel that, she's a bad mother, that she didn't take care of her baby well. That's why she lost it, maybe in the 3rd month, 4th month, whatever. This clearly shows what? When it comes to administration, on one end of the spectrum, we have the social man based on values. On the other end, you have the completely objective economic man based on rationality. That is logic, zero emotion. What we need is what? We need somebody who is a little of both. That is, we need the administrative man, that is a little of values plus little of rationality. Here in this example, if you see, Supreme Court is exactly doing the role of what, or rather exhibiting the traits of an administrative man and censuring the Madhya Pradesh High Court for not considering the background, why that a female did not do the work properly. Getting the point here? So that is why we need judiciary also. The basic idea is what? Yes, interpret the law as objectively as possible, but also look into the circumstances. Clear? In a win-win for airlines and passengers, government will simplify rules for leasing aircraft. From international airlines along with their crew during a global shortage of planes that has contributed to rise in airfare. So government has reduced the rules, reduced the guidelines or the norms necessary for leasing aircraft internationally. So that now aircrafts will be available for lease, automatically the flight charges, etc. will come down. It is a win-win for all the parties. Again, example of what? Systems theory. It's also an example of integration. Why? Government on one side, customers on another side, and air service providers on another side. So all of them have come together, and finally government also listened to them and decided, okay, government will simplify the rules for leasing activities. Clear, people? Moving on. Chief Commissioner of PWD's post vacant for over 5 years. The post of Chief Commissioner for persons with disabilities has remained vacant for 5 years. Whenever a government post is not appointed on time, that particular department will suffer from a lot of issues, from decision making to lack of policies, lack of a vision, lack of a futuristic plan. All of that will suffer. Getting the point here? So timely appointment matters. And this is a classic example of what? This is a classic example of why government departments are inefficient. Because it starts with what? Not appointing people on time. Clear? Directing 5 states to be ready with facts and figures showing the extent of sand mining, the Supreme Court on Wednesday made it clear that authorities have to check the illegal exploitation. Means what? Supreme Court has basically asked 5 states to give the complete facts and figures with regard to the illegal exploitation or of sand mining. Supreme Court has directed, give me all the data. Let me see to what extent it is. Law and order comes under whose domain? State. Why is the court interfering in it? Getting the point here. Now, can court demand? Definitely it can demand. There is nothing wrong with it. But literally questioning a government, give us all the facts and figures, give us all the data, that is like stretching it a stretch further. Getting the point here. So court may definitely ask them to what extent, what measures have you taken to stop this, etc. That is fine. But going on to ask about the data, going on to ask about the facts and figures clearly shows what judiciary is literally assessing the government's capabilities when it comes to handling law and order. That means this is an example of judicial overreach. Clear, people? The Clothing Manufacturers Association of India has expressed concern over the rate rationalization proposal initiated by the group of ministers led by Bihar Deputy CM Samrat Chowdhury, involving significant changes to the GST rates for the apparel sector. So, Clothing Manufacturers Association of India, they are concerned over the rationalization that has happened, which was initiated by the group of ministers led by Bihar Deputy CM Samrat Chowdhury. They are concerned about the rates. They are telling that if whatever rates now you have proposed, it will only increase the prices of the apparel industry. But the prices goes up, automatically what will happen? Demand will come down. It will lead to unemployment. That is what CMAI is claiming. Again, what it is again an example of metrics organization, participative management, importance of informal group, two-way communication, horizontal communication, any which way you want to put it, you can put it up. Getting the point, people? The UN on Wednesday appealed for more than $47 billion to deliver vital aid next year in a world ravaged by surging conflicts and the climate crisis, but warned many in need would not be reached. The UN has asked other countries to contribute a total of $47 billion to cater to the needs of the poor people or the disadvantaged sections of the society present across the world wherever conflict is there. And this also said that this money is insufficient. Now, where can we link this with? Again, we are talking about what? New public service or new public governance. Why? Interaction again. Interaction is not just confined to domestic NGOs or domestic CSOs. Interaction today or collaboration today has gone international. So you can highlight this as part of either NPS or NPG, New Public Governance. Clear, people? Administrative stability puts luxury housing in demand across Afghanistan's capital. The city is less violent since the Taliban's transitioned from insurgency to authority and foreign forces withdrew, although armored vehicles, checkpoints, and militarized compounds remain common sights. The Taliban, sticklers for an intricate bureaucracy, have pledged to stamp out corruption and regulate legal and commercial matters. That means no more dealing with warlords or bribing local officials for land purchases or construction projects. What does it mean? So far, Mary Parker Foley, as well as other thinkers, have basically told what? A powerful central authority is not actually good for governance. That is our understanding generally. It is not good. Exploitative authority, not good. Domination, not good. But what are we seeing at the ground level in Afghanistan? Because of the stability that is being brought by Taliban, because of the fact that Taliban wants to keep a very tight and a small bureaucracy, what has ended up happening is there is stability in law, administrative stability. That means it is not that domination is bad or exploitative authority is bad. It has its advantages. So because of that administrative stability, now I know minimum rules only I need to comply. I need to only listen to Taliban. What has happened? Real estate in Kabul is booming like never before. Afghan people who are working in US or Europe, they want to buy palatial bungalows in Kabul and settle down there. Why? Law and order is also like clear cut. Law and order, administration, clarity is there. You don't have to worry about US. You don't have to worry about the local warlords, because that was the case initially. In Afghanistan, you will find small groups, everybody with gun. I am the lord of this region. I am the lord of that region. Now nothing. Everywhere it is only one thing, Taliban. And there is no civilian government there. So you have clarity. That means this is the best example for what? This is the best example for why exploitative authority can be good. Getting the point here? Now, why I'm using exploitative here? Because Taliban is not exactly taking feedback from the people and then deciding on things. They are deciding everything on their own. Getting the point here. Taking it further forward, Karnataka Environment Minister Ishwar Khandre has directed Forest Department officials to study the Tamil Nadu model for controlling the wild elephant menace in Karnataka. So, study the Tamil Nadu model. So, to study the Tamil Nadu model, studying any other model simply means what? We are talking about comparative public administration. Clear, people? Wisel is an end-to-end technology and IT partner to the airport ecosystem. We bring in all the technology that goes into the airport, from CCTV cameras, flight information display systems, Wi-Fi routers, baggage handling, and so on. We also manage it 24/7. Airport Operations Command Center is an integrated center where you can monitor the entire airport. Importantly, APOC anticipates the problem instead of only reacting to it when it happens. All right, that is APOC is airport. That is, APOC is basically a system that has been designed by Amazon Web Services. What is the purpose of it? It is a single command center. And if you actually look at it, there is nothing wrong in telling that it will be a centralized body with literally power concentrated at the top, controlling everything from CCTV camera, flight information display system, Wi-Fi router, baggage handling, entire thing going online and connected to a single system, managing everything. Now, how is this even good? This system is considered to be good for the only reason that it will not tell, oh, there is a problem here. No, it will anticipate the problem. It will anticipate the future course of events based on current data. Based on the current data, it will tell, okay, flights are going to come in, the crowd is going to increase, or flights are less, crowd will decrease. All those suggestions it will give. To do this, we collect data from various 30 to 40 touch points. So, where are they collecting data from? They will collect data from DigiYatra, CCTVs, Internet of Things sensors, which are spread across. This helps us to predict and anticipate the possible bottlenecks. This information can help the various stakeholders who work at the airport, from security personnel to ground handlers, to prepare ahead. APOC will basically bring the stakeholders from the air side, terminal side, and curb side together to provide a holistic solution, connecting everything. This is the future. That is, initially we were at centralization during classical era, etc. Correct? Later, once the human relation theory started, from there we move to what? From there we move to decentralization. And as privatization, etc., came, it only went on to increase NGO, civil society organization, etc. And today, thanks to technology, what is happening? Re-centralization. Technology has actually made it possible to bring diverse players into a single ecosystem managed by or controlled by one entity. Getting the picture here? And this is the future. Already on a trial basis, they have started it with an airport in the southern region. They have not disclosed its name. Pretty soon they will announce it, and soon they will be handling all the airports in India. Who is doing it? A private company. Getting the point? Amazon. Taking it further forward, The high rate of deletions has coincided with government's push for the Aadhaar-based payment system. In January 2023, the Ministry of Rural Development mandated the nationwide implementation of ABPS for MGNREGS. To be eligible for ABPS, workers must meet conditions such as their Aadhaar must be linked to their job, the name on the Aadhaar must match the name on the job card, and their bank account must be Aadhaar seeded and mapped to the National Payment Corporation of India. Means my Aadhaar name, linking my name should have an Aadhaar card. Linking that Aadhaar, there should be a bank account. That bank account should be linked even with the UPI, basically. Verified it should be. Any one area goes wrong, what happens? Your name will get automatically deleted from the list of beneficiaries under MGNREGS. You won't be eligible for a job card then. In other words, if your Aadhaar name is different, bank name is different, or the name in job card is different, automatically you won't get payment and you will not be able to get work also. Many NGOs are working around the clock to find a solution for this because the system is also not very easy. But like I told you, will you follow the rule or will you actually try to bypass the rule? Looking at the necessity, because these are poor people. Again, like I told you, once they will give one name, another time they will give another name. Getting the point? So anywhere if there is an issue, what will happen? They won't get the benefits. So as of now, what is the solution to this? The only solution is find out who are the people who have got genuinely deleted, find out what is the issue, get it rectified. But is this system good? Definitely it is good. Because even government also need to know, central government especially needs to know who are the true beneficiaries, whether there is any loophole in the system. Clear? Center to develop 4 new tourist destinations in J&K with the help from World Bank. Again, World Bank will provide not money here, but rather World Bank will provide information as to how to develop such tourist destinations. Again, an example of collaboration with international agencies, integration, participative management, metrics organization, name it, you can put it over here. Clear? RBI to start podcast to communicate effectively. Very interesting. RBI also going informal. Now, podcast is not actually a formal platform, but RBI is going to do that. That means they are going to become all the more people friendly. This is where the future is headed to. Future is headed to where each organization will probably have their own channel or method to communicate with the public. Getting the point? So again, an example of what? New public governance. Using the latest tools, etc., and shedding away all that high-handedness. I am RBI. I am an independent and a superior authority. You all are inferior. All that is done. Getting the point here. Interacting with the public better, so that public also will take the opportunity to give feedback to RBI. Clear, people?
Moving on, people. Healthy India, Happy India, a joint initiative of the Hindu and Naruvi Hospitals, Vellore, to build awareness on preventive healthcare was inaugurated. Now, I told you, this is the classic reality today. Awareness campaigns, if you see in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and all, was largely a government initiative. But here, if you see, it is being done by a newspaper and Naruvi Hospitals, Vellore. Awareness on preventive healthcare. So, this is the perfect example for networked governance. Correct? Obviously, it is not that the state government doesn't know that such a collaboration is happening. State government is also supportive of it. Getting the point here. So, we are moving in that direction today. Clear? Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister N. Chandrababu Naidu on Saturday launched a mega parents teachers meeting across 45,000 government schools in the state. The meeting saw participation of 1.2 crore parents and students. Very, very, very important. I don't know which other chief minister would have done this. I'm not actually aware of it, because interacting with parents, teachers meeting, and also with students, taking direct inputs from them. This is a clear example for de-bureaucratization. Because if the bureaucracy was made in charge of it, then obviously what will happen? By the time the information actually moves upwards in the hierarchy and reaches the chief minister, many things would have got lost in between. Few things would be hidden from the chief minister. Multiple such things would have happened. But the chief minister coming right down to the grassroots level and interacting with parents and teachers and the students firsthand to know what is the ground reality of government schools is actually welcoming. And this is a sign of how things are going to happen in the future. Getting the point here? This is the sign. Because that whole idea that I am the chief minister, I am the prime minister, you have to respect me, those days are numbered. People are only going to see how you worked. And we will be reaching that phase eventually. Getting the point, people? Moving on. In an explosive report, the Comptroller and Auditor General of India alleged that a chunk of funds earmarked to deal with COVID-19 pandemic was siphoned off during Naveen Patnaik's tenure in Odisha. Chunk of funds earmarked to deal with COVID-19 pandemic was siphoned off. That means corruption has taken place during the Naveen Patnaik's tenure in Odisha. The CAG report on public health infrastructure and management of health services in the state, which was tabled on Saturday, claimed that excess payments were made to dedicated hospitals. COVID hospitals without verifying their claims. Dietary reimbursements did not tally with the number of doctors and paramedical staff. Besides, the hospital submitted forged bills to buy PPE, that is personal protective equipment. This is an example of why accountability is essential. Why you need CAG. Plus, you also need to mention that the working of CAG is always post-mortem. Means what? Damage has happened. Already the money has gone. It has been wasted. After that, the report comes. Unfortunately, CAG cannot stop it beforehand. Approval from CAG before spending the funds is out of the question. It's always auditing after the damage has occurred. And when has this happened? Years ago. And already the government has changed. Now, the fact of the matter is whether any action will be taken against the ex-chief minister, yes or no, we will have to wait and watch. Taking the discussion further forward, the $8 billion in revenue diversified LTC Limited is keen on 10 million farmers across 4,000 farmer producer organizations in the country accessing its meta market for advanced agriculture and rural services by 2030. Mars for farmers made by ITC. About 1.7 million farmers with about 1,700 FPOs now access ITC Mars. The phygital, interesting terminology also, phygital, that is physical and digital, with a super app at its center offering a bouquet of services from customized advisory on crops and weather, access to seeds and agriculture fertilizers, information on prices in the mandis, to linkages with banks. The super app includes Krishi Mitra, a Gen AI powered voice assistant for farmers. Just look at this, people. This is a classic example of what? How private players or privatization can actually help in solving the problems of the people at the grassroots level. Because still now all of this was being done by the government. Now you have a one single platform where all the information is available. Whatever information you want, because look at it, right from the type of crops, the weather, the seed, the fertilizer, information on the prices, the mandis, as well as even linking with banks, you have one single app, the super app. And it even has a Krishi Mitra, a Gen AI powered tool to assist the farmers. For the company, ITC Mars is the next level of its popular eChopel initiative and a step further to strengthen bonds with farmers who are the backbone of its agribusiness. Besides, staying relevant through hand-holding measures and having in place a robust tech-driven system to ensure access to crop, traceability, and quality. This is a welcome measure and an alternate solution to making what minimum support price legal. What we need actually, the need of the hour is to make farmers entrepreneurs. This is a perfect solution. This is another example for what? NPM, New Public Management. Correct. Taking it further forward. By October 2023, 75% of all retail digital payments in India were through UPI, according to a study titled Open Banking and Digital Payments, Implications for Credit Access. 75% of all retail digital payments in India were through UPI. That means in the future, we can expect what? 100% UPI. Or in other words, complete digitalization is no more a myth. This is definitely going to be what? A reality. Once that happens, what are we really looking at? Complete financial trackdown of every transaction that happens in the country. That is the future. That is, as technology progresses, as we use more and more technology, it can actually lead to what? Re-centralization. Decentralization is required. You have different players now. Google is offering UPI, PhonePe is offering UPI, etc. Many services are there. Agreed. But at the same time, the center will be able to see where and all whatever transactions are happening. So in that sense of the word, ultimately, government can keep a track of all the activities in the country. That is, government will continue to be a facilitator, no doubt, but not on the sidelines. That is the reality. Government will not be kept afar. Clear? 5 months after 3 criminal laws came into effect in the country, Chandigarh has become the first among all states and union territories to implement the laws in their entirety. Now, because Chandigarh has taken it up completely, in maybe 2 or 3 years, entire country will be updated with the new criminal laws. To link key pillars of the criminal justice system, the police, forensics, and judiciary, the Chandigarh administration has ramped up internet speed at police stations. Look at that, people. To improve the criminal justice system. What are the pillars? You have police, forensics, and the judiciary. What is the first thing they did? Increase the internet speed. That is the most important thing to do there. Then at police station, provided new tablets to investigators so that real-time update can happen. The forensic report, go to the forensic report. When it will get ready? We are getting it ready. Send somebody now. The report is ready. Sending one jeep for that. Get going. Sending the constable there. Everything a thing of the past. Now it will be real-time update. That is almost like I have opened up a Google Sheet. I am updating the case details. Forensic surgeon is updating the forensic details. Real-time judiciary also can check. Now you might be thinking, but sir, we can edit, delete. No. Once you enter the data there, you cannot make any change to it. You need to make a change means you need the highest level of clearance. That means no tampering. Real time, the thing, whole thing, even the judiciary will be able to see. Getting the point here? And set up video conferencing facilities for speedy trials. The police are also using Chitra Koji, a facial recognition software developed by the government to match photos of suspects with a database of photos of 1 crore prisoners. I keep telling you, henceforth be extra careful when you mess with the law. If you get on the wrong side of the law, your name, your photo, your Aadhaar, the entire thing is going to go online. Right to privacy, Article 21, all that we can write it down. But in India, the general trend is irrespective of which government comes into power, security comes above your fundamental rights. Understand that. And no fundamental right is absolute. Clear? DigiLocker, the government's cloud-based wallet to store documents such as driving license and Aadhaar, is being used to upload crime scene videos and related information. Police also can use this now. Perfect example of what? E-governance or digital governance. Center-state collaboration. Correct? Integration. Connecting everything now. Bringing all the pillars, police, forensics, judiciary, everything together. Speedy trials, faster, better conviction rates will be a thing of the future. Not distant future, immediate future. In 3-4 years, we will see very huge changes with the whole way by which the conviction is happening. Clear, people? Taking the discussion further forward. The center has written to the states to submit action plans to effectively implement the menstrual hygiene policy to ensure access to low-cost hygiene products and gender-responsive sanitation facilities in public and government-aided schools. The center had last month informed the Supreme Court about the menstrual hygiene policy for school-going girls, which was approved by the Union Health Ministry. The policy advocates for streamlining mechanisms to provide for timely availability of menstrual hygiene. Once again, what are we seeing here? So on one side you have judiciary, on another side you have center, and on another side you have the state. And all three are basically coordinating for what? The coordination is for getting the point here, people, especially in public and government aided schools. So center informed the Supreme Court about the menstrual hygiene policy. Okay, center informed. After that, center has asked the state also with regard to what? The guidelines. Automatically what happens now? State will have to give an answer. Why? Judiciary is involved here. Schooling is a state subject. So if the states fail to give the formal guidelines, etc., judiciary can pull up the concerned state government. Judiciary pulling up the concerned state government means, understand, judiciary will be pulling up the chief secretary. Senior most IAS officer of the state. Getting the picture here? This is a classic example of how effectively executive and judiciary can work together to bring out better policies which will benefit the people. The Confederation of Indian Industry suggested that the government stick to the fiscal deficit target of 4.9% of the GDP for 2024-25 and 4.5% for 2025-26, cautioning that overly aggressive targets beyond these could adversely affect India's economic growth. Once again, classic example of how informal groups influence government. So, importance of participative management. Clear, people? The triggers. Generally, we see three triggers for exits. First, there is always the fear of the future with current employer. It could be a threat to the role or financial growth. Second, there is a feeling of getting a raw deal compared with others. The longer the two feelings stay, the stronger the chances of quitting. The third most obvious trigger is an attractive external offer catalyzing the first two. What is this? Generally, around the year end, many people will quit their current jobs. One first reason that they have cited here is one is fear of the future with current employer. That is, they fear that maybe they will be fired or they will not get much salary. That is the first fear. That means, like I told you, that fear is nothing but what? A fear to satisfy basic needs as highlighted by Maslow, or hygiene needs as highlighted by Herzberg, or existence needs as highlighted by the ERG theory. All right. These are the things. Second one, there is a feeling of getting a raw deal compared with others. That is, my same rank, my position in the organization, another individual is there. He will get a promotion, I won't get. Comparative basis. Individually, there is no threat to my job. I will get a hike, everything, but this fellow is going to get the promotion. That means I will feel a lack of what? Equity, according to the equity theory. Clear, people? Then, the third most obvious trigger is an attractive external offer catalyzing the first two. That is, you are all happy with your organization, no issues. You are getting a promotion better than others. But another company now has offered you a better package. You are deciding to leave the company. Again, what is the reason? It could be esteem needs as per Maslow, or it could be growth needs as per Herzberg or ERG theory. My old batch students will be already wondering, sir, you have not given us ERG theory, you have not given us esteem, equity theory, etc. Don't worry, I'll be sending you the notes. It's not at all difficult. All right, I'll be sending you the notes with you, sharing it with you. You can always contact me in my Telegram channel to clear your doubts. Need not worry about it. All right, and like I already told you, these are your random one-time topics. Maybe you will get a question from it again. Chances are but very, very less. All right. So there are some theories like this, which I'll give it to you as handouts. Need not worry. Any queries are there, just ask it to me in the Telegram channel. I will be available to clear it. All right, people. The Supreme Court on Monday orally observed that reservation must not be based on religion while hearing an appeal filed by the state of West Bengal against a Calcutta High Court judgment striking down its policy to include several castes, largely Muslim communities, in the state's other backward classes list. Supreme Court on Monday directed the Manipur government to provide details of buildings and properties which were burnt, partially burnt, looted and trespassed during the ethnic violence which began in May 2023. We are going to see a few Supreme Court related news articles now. Very, very active Supreme Court has been in the last 1 month. The first article, as you can clearly see, it's a direct case of constitutionality, etc. Because Supreme Court made it very, very clear here that reservation must not be based on religion. Period. Religion is not a condition. Supreme Court is giving clarity to the whole reservation policy and the law. Is this the job of Supreme Court? Absolutely yes. What about this side? Directed the Manipur government to provide details of buildings and properties which were burnt, partially burnt, looted and trespassed during the ethnic violence which began in May 2023. This is a classic case of judicial activism. Normally, it is not the job of the court to actually question the government to get the details of a particular incident of violence. That is actually, if you ask me, it is a job of the legislature, the assembly, where the opposition parties have to ask what is the facts and figures for it. Here, but Supreme Court has got itself involved here, because obviously the ethnic violence have been going now for more than a year. Clear, people? Moving on. Supreme Court grants permanent commission to woman army officer. The Supreme Court on Monday exercised its extraordinary powers under Article 142 of the Constitution to grant permanent commission to a woman army officer with a distinguished service record who was wrongly excluded from the consideration when other similarly placed officers were given the benefit. So an officer who had an exemplary record, she was not given permanent commission. Similarly posted officers, that is people who are of our same level, they got permanent commission. The officer here took it to the court and Supreme Court used its extraordinary powers. Under which article? Under Article 142. Why it is called extraordinary? Article 142 is sparingly used by Supreme Court. That means it is used only very rarely to undo a gross violation of injustice committed either by the government or by the legislature, to reverse the wrongdoing. That is, on a normal day, it is not used. But under abnormal circumstances where they feel gross miscarriage has occurred, to undo that wrongdoing, Article 142 is used. Clear, people? Once again, an clear example or importance of why Article 142 gives Supreme Court sky high powers. Clear? Taking the discussion further forward, the Supreme Court on Monday suggested the constitution of a specialized agency dedicated to enhancing the national capital's depleting green cover. Again, another example, that is constitution of a specialized agency. For what purpose? The constitution of the specialized agency is for the enhancing the green cover in the national capital territory of Delhi. Because what Supreme Court observed was that any which way, neither center nor the state, both of you are not doing any great job here. Or sorry, not the state, the union territory, the legislative assembly for the union territory or the government there are not doing a great job. Create a specialized agency exclusively given with only one task, which is enhancing the green cover. Classic case of again what? Judicial activism. The Supreme Court on Monday orally remarked that a long-term response to problems of food security was to generate employment. Even as Advocate Prashant Bhushan said, the National Food Security Act continued to be driven by figures from the 2011 census. That means the whole case was with regard to COVID, etc. has occurred. Census has not been updated. Census need to be taken just so that we know how many people really need or really needs to be brought under the National Food Security Act, where the current number of beneficiaries stands at 81 crore. According to some section of the scholars as well as some section of the society, they believe that the number will be anywhere between 91 to 100 crore because of the impact of COVID. Now, we don't know about this until and unless a census is conducted. But the fact of the matter that the Supreme Court made such an observation, basically telling that long-term security for this is only what? Generating employment. Now, thankfully, it has been mentioned what? Orally. Orally. That is, orally a remark being made by the Supreme Court with regard to matters of fiscal policy. Getting the point here. That is what will work out in the long run. Will this tantamount to judicial activism or judicial overreach? No, it's only an oral remark. It's only an observation. But government would be better for the government if government paid some attention to this, be it center or be it state. You can use this towards the conclusion of your answers. Clear, people? Again, a clear example of what? A clear example of the fact that be it judiciary, legislature, executive. This sweet spot right here, that is PubAd. Clear, people? Taking our discussion further forward. Observing that the newly notified standard operating procedure by the West Bengal government holds potential for resolving issues in the abandoned gardens, the Paschim Banga Cha Majur Samiti on Monday urged the state government to implement it. The government came up with an SOP on abandoned gardens in November this year with certain conditions, including clearance of dues for workers has been fixed for companies before taking over the operations at abandoned gardens. That means we are talking about the tea estates here. Again, no surprises. This organization here, Paschim Banga Cha Majur Samiti, this is basically again importance of informal groups. Democratized decision making. Definitely participative management. All of that you can put it over here. Clear, people? Charge memo issued to Kerala IAS officer. The Kerala government has inducted suspended IAS officer N. Prashant for undermining the administrative machinery and tarnishing the government's reputation. Now, I have always told you to all my students that you're not supposed to make any statements which will actually cause prejudice to the state government or will embarrass the state government. In a charge memo, Chief Secretary Sharada Muralidharan stated that Mr. Prashant's actions had caused irreparable injury to the government. Ms. Muralidharan said Mr. Prashant's combative social media posts and accusatory interactions with the media had a deleterious effect on the administration and cast shadows of doubt on the civil service. Ms. Muralidharan also accused Mr. Prashant of derogatory comments and indirect statements about A. Jayatillak, Additional Chief Secretary for Taxes, and K. Gopalakrishnan, another suspended IAS officer. So going on using social media to put out your opinion against your own senior officers and thereby showcasing what? That you don't like them, whatever be the reason, no matter how much ever justice or valid points you're having, this is uncalled for. This is clearly uncalled for. Not only that, he later went on to interact with the media telling that as a citizen of India, I have my rights, I have my fundamental right to speak. Just because I am an IAS officer doesn't mean I have to bend down in front of these people. First of all, if you are an officer with the government, be it of India or government of a state also for that matter, you have restricted fundamental rights. You cannot go about blabbering whatever you want. And again, to go on a confrontational stance in front of the whole media, uncalled for. Getting the point here? So an officer of the law basically, or an officer with the government, is supposed to exercise restraint. You can use the official channels of communication to basically know the higher ups about your displeasure. There is nothing wrong with it. Shoot an email to the chief secretary, shoot a mail to the chief minister, do all of that. But going on a public platform, let alone a social media platform, is not at all conducive, or it's unbecoming of an officer. Clear, people? So this whole idea of confrontational stance being taken by the officer here, strict no. Getting the point here? You are supposed to be abiding by the rules and by the laws. That means the rules, order, discipline, like civil service, conduct rules, etc. All of this has to be abided by the bureaucracy. There is no doubt about it, and there is no two ways about it. The Andaman police have sent a legal notice to Starlink, a company owned by Elon Musk that offers satellite broadband services, seeking details of who purchased its internet device that helped in sea navigation of smugglers who were caught with 4.2 billion worth of meth in the biggest such Indian seizure. 4.2 billion. And Andaman police have sent it to whom? They have sent it to Starlink company, owned by none other than Elon Musk. In other words, this highlights why essential services cannot be privatized. Internet, railways, transportation, etc. Privatization, when we do, some sense of control should be there. Now, Starlink devices generally don't work over the Indian territory. That is what Starlink has claimed. But interestingly enough, Andaman and Nicobar Island police recovered the Starlink device. And Starlink basically uses low Earth orbit satellites for their communication. Extremely fast internet. Getting the point here? So this is the idea. Why privatization, or the dangers of privatization? You can use this as an example. High Court filed reports on cracks in houses in Bageshwar. The Uttarakhand High Court has appointed 2 advocates as court commissioners and sought a report from them on alleged cracks appearing in houses due to soapstone mining in Bageshwar district. Again, it's an example of what? It's a perfect example of judicial activism again. Not the job of the judiciary actually to find out the reason why cracks are appearing in the Bageshwar district. But government is supposed to be doing it. But who has done it? High Court itself has appointed. Supreme Court asked for a list of affluent persons benefiting from tree felling in Delhi Ridge. Supreme Court on Tuesday asked petitioners to prepare a list of the affluent persons who benefited from the illegal felling of trees in the protected ridge area of Delhi for a road broadening project. That is, normally we will see Supreme Court asking the government, or Supreme Court may even appoint, as we've seen here in the earlier example, may appoint a court-appointed commissioner or an amicus curiae to find out the reality behind a certain event. Here, if you notice, Supreme Court has asked the petitioners itself give the list of the people who stand to gain from the illegal cutting of the trees in the Delhi Ridge area, where the roads were supposed to be broadened, who all will stand to benefit from it. So this is again a perfect example for direct interaction, one thing, and definitely what? Judicial activism again. Because you're not encroaching upon what is it? Anybody here? It's an interesting case of judicial activism. You're not encroaching upon executive. You're not encroaching upon the legislature actually. You're directly asking the people, you give me the detail. I'm not going to ask the government, you give me the detail. You have filed the petition, right? You only give me the detail. Who all will stand to benefit from this? Getting the point here. That means judiciary directly engaging with the public. Getting the point. Taking the discussion further forward. The Odisha government is planning to secure a 734.86 crore external loan from the International Fund for Agricultural Development, IFAD, a global financial institution, to implement phase 2 of the Odisha Particularly Vulnerable Tribal Group Empowerment and Livelihood Improvement Program, OPELIP2, the proposal of which is expected to be placed before the state cabinet for approval soon. Tribal experts, however, have raised concerns over the move, questioning the rationale behind taking an international loan at a time when the center has already launched the Pradhan Mantri Janjati Adivasi Nyaya Maha Abhiyan, PM Janman, with ample financial outlay, with a substantial allocation of 24,104 crore for the 2023 for 2025 period. PM Janman aims to ensure the holistic development of PVTGs in 18 states and union territories. Odisha, home to 13 of the 75 PVTGs, that is particularly vulnerable tribal groups, identified across India, is likely to receive a significant portion of these funds. Means what? International organization, Odisha government is planning to take funds from there. How much? More than 700 crore. Simultaneously, from the center also, there is a scheme called PM Janman, where significant portion of the funding will again come to Odisha, simply because out of the total 75 particularly vulnerable tribal groups, 13 belong to Odisha. So Odisha will get a huge share, no doubt. This is a case of what? This is the easy, perfect example for one minute. Let me mark it out. Perfect example for overlapping. Correct? Two funds for the same purpose. State government, central government is providing the fund. State is now planning to borrow the fund from IFAD. Getting the point here. So when a lack of coordination is there, a lack of integration is there, we can clearly see what in bureaucracy, what is happening. Overlap can happen. When there is poor miscommunication. Sorry, poor communication. Clear, people? Taking the discussion further forward. Will use WhatsApp to issue caste income certificates. Again, Chandrababu Naidu. Earlier we saw he directly conducted a meeting with parents, teachers and students. Correct? To get to know about what to do with the quality of government schools. Fine. What is the next measure? At a review meeting on RTGES, Real-Time Governance Society. Please note that, people. He said that a new system would be developed where citizens could use WhatsApp to obtain their certificates. Everything is going digital and WhatsApp governance will be the future. See that? That is your new terminology. Classical thinkers we saw, human relations we saw, NPA, NPM, NPS. Comparative public administration, digital governance, then new public governance, a combination of NPS and digital governance. And today, where have we reached? WhatsApp governance. WhatsApp governance by collecting, okay, and WhatsApp governance will be the future. The goal is to deliver the best services through WhatsApp governance by collecting and integrating data from each department. He also asked them to use technology in all departments to provide effective governance. He emphasized collecting real-time data and integrating it with other departments with overall monitoring by RTGS. Whatever data has to be collected, it has integrated. Overall monitoring will be done by RTGS. Getting the picture here? That means this is the future. If one state starts doing this, imagine all your caste certificate or whatever certificate you need, everything will be issued to you through WhatsApp. Getting the point? You can get all the whatever ministries, whatever forms, etc. you want, all of that you will get it. That means classic example of what? Good governance. Classic example of integration. Clear, people? Taking the discussion further forward. India Skills Report ranks Kerala among top states for employability in India. Kerala continues to lead as one of the most employable states in India, as indicated by the India Skills Report 2025. I am giving this nothing, it has nothing to do with public administration, to be very honest. You can use it as an example. But why have I put this particular report here? Just to show how biased this report is. Anybody who reads this, India Skills Report ranks Kerala among top states for employability in India. It is the first time when you read it, you will almost feel, wow, Kerala is ranked 1. Again, if you reread that, it will be like what? Among top states. It means it's 1 among the top states. Not that Kerala is ranked 1. Let us see. Kerala's workforce maintains a strong employability rate of 71%, placing it on the 5th position after Maharashtra, Delhi, Karnataka, and Andhra Pradesh. That means Kerala is 5th. Getting the point here. So what should have been how it should have been the title then, or how the heading should have been? Should have actually been Maharashtra tops India Skills Report rank. That's it, right? That should have been the heading. That should have been the title. Kerala also joins the ranks of Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, and Uttar Pradesh as the top states favored for employment across India. The state is especially preferred by female job aspirants. Again, no data has been given here directly. Getting the point here. That is the reason why I tell you, when you are reading the Hindu, just be a little careful. All right. Very, very nicely, they will create narratives. So don't blindly just read it. Is it backed by data? Check it. And they have only given the data for what is the situation for Kerala. You really want to know whether Kerala is doing good or bad, we need the data of the other states along with which Kerala is being compared. Getting the picture here, people? Moving on. CUET revamp. Student can appear in any subject. The CUET UG will return to the computer-based format from 2025, and students will be allowed to appear for any subject irrespective of the subject studied in class 12, according to University Grants Commission Chairman Jagadish Kumar. Finally, that is, in our country alone, this, I would say, this pathetic rule was there. Whatever you have studied in 12th, for that course only you can apply for your graduation. A person was not allowed to switch streams. Once you take up science in 12th, you are only eligible to carry science-based studies forward. You cannot pick up maybe an economics or maybe a public administration or maybe a political science. It was simply not easy. But in the Western world, it was happening. Anybody could switch their career anytime they want, pursue any field or stream they want, and there is never any age limit to studying in the Western world. But in India, there is an age limit for everything. Mr. Kumar said that the exam will be conducted only in a computer-based test mode from 2025, as it is much more reliable and secure than other modes. Candidates will also be allowed to opt for subjects in CUET, UG that they haven't studied in class 12 to allow the students to cross over the rigid disciplinary boundaries in higher education. What is this again? It's a classic example of your systems theory. Why? Because we need to revamp our whole education system. Our education system has been lying like very dormant and very static and not at all updated for a very long time. So we need people with multiple skills or people who are qualified in interdisciplinary fields. Only that will encourage research. That is the need of the hour. And that is how we can improve the skills of our youth. So this is actually a very welcome measure. Clear, people? Drive against manual scavenging will continue. The Supreme Court on Wednesday vowed to go to any extent possible to ensure that manual scavenging and hazardous manual cleaning of sewers and septic tanks are wiped out, saying the issue dealt with the question of human dignity. What is this? Again, a classic example of judicial activism. And this is again good. Judicial activism, let me tell you, it is actually a good thing. Because successive governments have failed to actually take effective action against manual scavenging. That is, the Supreme Court is directly getting involved here and has also promised that we will go to any extent possible to put an end to this social evil. The Kerala Tourism has launched a multi-language microsite, www.keralatourism.org/Sabarimala, and an e-brochure providing comprehensive information about the Sabarimala temple, making the pilgrimage easy and simple. The multilingual microsite provides pilgrims with information about the hill shrine's traditions, customs, and culture, as well as the latest updates and geographical insights. Again, multi-language microsite. Future. Like I always keep telling you, all part of e-governance and making it more democratic or participative, because it's a multilingual website. Clear, people? Very important article from the perspective of NPM. And the future, like I told you, future, it's obviously going to be with the aid of technology. Privatization will be made possible, and technology will be used to keep an eye on all the private players who are supporting the government in the delivery of goods and services. That is the future. So let us see what is this about. A bill has been proposed, and it is intended to simplify the legal framework and reduce the need to refer to two laws of the railways. Now, the bill proposes to amend the Railways Act 1989 to provide statutory backing to the Railway Board, which has functioned without such a sanction since it began functioning. Statutory backing, that is, give it proper legal backing and then give it powers. The statutory powers seek to enhance the functioning and independence of the Railway Board. The provisions added to the amended bill authorize the Union government to decide the composition of the Railway Board. This includes the number of members, their terms of service, and their qualifications and experience. The bill also proposes to improve operational efficiencies and decentralize powers, granting greater autonomy to railway zones. Increasing autonomy has been a long-standing demand supported by various committees, including the 2014 Sridharan Committee. That means giving the various zones, southern zone, western zone, etc., various zones are there, giving those zones freedom, more freedom. Then establish an independent regulator to oversee tariff, safety, and the participation of the private sector in the railways. Recommendations to have an independent regulator were earlier made in 2015 by the Committee on Restructuring Railways. Getting the point here. That means an independent regulator will be kept to look into the tariff, to look into the private players, as well as the safety aspect. Speed up the approval process for train services that will help meet pending demands from various regions. Fast-track infrastructure and super-fast train operations, for instance, extending the Arunachal Express through the Siwan, Thave, Kaptanganj and Gorakhpur route, which will benefit regions such as Bihar. Overall, what do we see? A complete revamp of the railway board with more decentralization, more privatization, more concerns for safety, fastening of the infrastructure projects, etc. Much needed reform to suit the, or rather meet the demands of the 21st century. Because an effective railway system is one of the ways to ensure, or rather bring down global warming or the effects of climate change. A good public transportation system is that people will automatically start preferring it. Clear, people? So this is the example for that. Moving on. The Social Dialogue Report of the ILO released in Geneva on Wednesday has recommended governments to uphold fundamental principles and rights at work, especially freedom of association and the effective recognition of the right to collective bargaining. International Labor Organization, all right, in their social dialogue report, they have basically told about what? The importance of collective bargaining and to freedom to form associations, especially where in government circle. It's very, very important. You cannot ignore the government servants anymore. That is the point here. Whatever your employees are there within the government sector, you need to take feedback from them also. All right, people, taking it further forward. Railway should review AC class fares to boost revenues, parliamentary committee. Now, I had told you earlier, parliamentary committee, in my class, I told you parliamentary committee's importance. Why it is there even today? This is the reason. Now, parliamentary committee came up with one recommendation again, which was to legalize MSP. The next thing that they have come up with is increase the AC fare. Why? Budget estimates for passenger revenues for the year 2024-25 have been kept at rupees 80,000 crore against freight revenue estimate of 1,80,000 crore. The committee said that to increase net revenues, the railways must increase its earnings from the passenger segment. It stated that the railway should review the fares of AC classes by aligning them with costs incurred to reduce losses in the passenger segment. The committee also recommended that Railway Ministry must find ways to increase private sector participation in creation of railway infrastructure. Like I have always told you in my classes also, one of the problems with the Indian Railway or overall our logistics sector is that passenger fares are kept artificially low. Freight charges are kept very high. Whereas in China or many other developed countries, if you see, it's the reverse scenario. Railway fares are high, passenger fares are kept high, freight charges are kept low. Because when you keep the freight charges lowly, what happens? Your transportation cost will come down. When transportation cost comes down, your product cost also will come down. That means your export will end up becoming competitive. Getting the picture here. Parliamentary panel is also recommending now what? Not increasing all the railway charges, no. But at least we can increase what? The AC class fares. Correct? That is the overall recommendation. Again, why? Again, systems theory. Correct? And obviously, user pay principle. Clear, people? CAG report flags violations, lapses in enforcement of TNCRZ notification. Comptroller Auditor General of India has highlighted significant delays, violations, and lapses in the enforcement of the Coastal Regulation Zone Notification 2011 in Tamil Nadu. Again, CAG report. Earlier report we saw CAG admonishing the Odisha government or the former Odisha government. Here CAG is admonishing the state government of Tamil Nadu for actually not enforcing the coastal regulation zone notifications properly. Or rather, there are a lot of loopholes there, not documenting things properly or not taking the concerned clearances. All of that has been found by CAG. Again, example for accountability. And again, the importance of CAG. Clear, people? Kerala has been recognized as a leader in transparency, public accountability, and dissemination of information. Chief Information Commissioner Hira Lal Samaria said, speaking at the National RTI Award ceremony, where Kerala State Information Commissioner A. Hakim was presented with the award, Mr. Samaria lauded Kerala as a model state for its exemplary performance in resolving RTI petitions efficiently and effectively. He said that the state's achievements in implementing social welfare schemes like providing pensions and its proactive promotion of the RTI Act among the public were laudable. Getting the point here. Kerala's RTI services are doing really good. Again, an example for what? comparative public administration. Number 2, competitive federalism. Because the Kerala model can be implemented in the other states, or other states also can now try to compete with the state of Kerala to improve their RTI infrastructure. Taking the discussion further forward. Now, this article has appeared in the Hindu text and context section, which is basically telling about how Beijing, which had a huge pollution problem, how they dealt with it, what lessons Delhi can learn from it. That whole article is very, very, very important. Getting the point here. It's too big, too important. I cannot cut off anything from here. And therefore, I am requesting you all to please go through it. Again, comparative public administration, because whatever has been implemented in Beijing, even we can implement it here. Along with the fact that the whole idea what Supreme Court gave, let us put up a specialized agency just to increase the green cover. If you remember the old one, these are the possible solutions that we can give. Because whenever we suggest solutions, the solution should not be your own utopian idea. What is already there in Beijing, or how Beijing was actually able to reduce their pollution levels. Based on that, you can give your suggestions. So please read the entire article. Very, very, very important. Clear? Prime Minister to chair National Conference of Chief Secretaries today. Again, like I told you, how important it is, such informal groupings. Because this gives a clear idea to the Prime Minister also, the challenges that are happening in various states. And it's again creates a sense of accountability where the center can literally keep the states on their toes. Because the chief secretaries will have to answer this question here, whatever Prime Minister will pose up. Clear, people? The Special Protection Group, an elite force which protects the Prime Minister, approached the Supreme Court on Friday against a National Green Tribunal order refusing to extend the period of registration of 3 specialized armored vehicles by another 5 years. NGT had refused to grant relief to the SPG in its March 22 order, noting that there was a prohibition on plying diesel vehicles that have completed 10 years. So it's a clear case of what? Overlapping or conflict. Case of conflict also. Why? On one side you have NGT and they are concerned about what? Environment. On other side you have the SPG, who is responsible for what? The Prime Minister. Prime Minister's security. And what is the bone of contention here? The bone of contention here is basically diesel armored vehicle. Getting the idea, people? So sometimes this is how judiciary and executive can come at loggerheads. Both are right in their own respected perspective, but still there is a conflict. From NGT side, they are right. Why? More than 10 years, we cannot give any exception. Law is same for everybody. They are trying to uphold what? The rule of law. SPG is asking to make an exception. Why? It is Prime Minister's security. Getting the point here? Taking it further forward. Building on the success of a pilot project in Mangalagiri, the Andhra Pradesh government is gearing up to launch a statewide skill census, the first of its kind in India, in January 2025. This initiative aims to provide a detailed analysis of the state's workforce, classify and organize the skills possessed by people by identifying skill gaps and enabling target interventions to address them. Very, very, very unique. That is, in addition to interacting with the students, teachers, in addition to bringing up WhatsApp governance, one latest initiative is making a database for the skills possessed by the youth in the state. getting to know what skills do they have, and accordingly give them a later training or place them, etc. Unique initiative. Again, needless to say, competitive federalism, comparative public administration, systems theory, digital governance, participative management. You can keep going. Getting the idea, people? Taking the discussion further forward. Now, this article here talks about Smart Kochi project and was initiated in the state of Kerala as early as in 2007. The idea behind that Smart Kochi project was basically bring in lot of investments, especially to the IT sector. Now we saw earlier that when it comes to skills, etc., Kerala ranks number 5. That means the youth of that particular state are pretty much educated. They are very, very employable, and it's even a preferred destination for employability also, especially by the female staff. All that is agreed. But then, if such wonderful youth is available, what is missing in the state of Kerala is actually investment. Be it red tapeism, be it bureaucracy, or even be it the opposition parties there, they are not actually supportive of what? Supportive of investments. And very recently, what has happened is a Dubai-based company was the major partner in the smart city project of Kochi. They have decided to withdraw from the project, pull out from the project completely. Getting the point here? They are ready to move out from the project. That means whatever investment they were thinking of bringing in, that is not going to happen. A few projects are there here and there, which is under various stages of completion. But apart from that, as of now, Smart City project of Kochi, it's over. It's officially over. A simple example for this is an original framework agreement was signed in May 2007. A glittering foundation stone laying ceremony was held on November 16th. That stone gathered moss for nearly a decade. Means what? From 2007 November to almost 10 years from there. That is 2015-16. Till then, no activity. They put a foundation stone, moss started growing over there. Green patches. Director board meetings ran into hours as the project hit one roadblock after another. Even the registration of the lease agreement took around 3 years as the registration department declined to exempt it from stamp duty, about rupees 50 lakhs, although the project had received in principle special economic zone notification. The file, which was referred by then Ernakulam district collector, gathered dust in the finance department till 2011, when the lease agreement was finally registered with stamp duty exemption. Just look at it. Delay after delay. That is, it is in the same state. It was given what? SCZ approval also. Special economic zone, it comes under that. That means no need to pay stamp duty. It was a simple case of what? Just give them the clearance. They are cleared from paying any stamp duty. One simple order and a signature and a stamp, a seal would have done the trick. That itself took around 4 to 5 years. Getting the point here. Classic example of what? Bureaucratic formalism, ritualism, red tapeism. As a result of which Kerala continues to be, the state of Kerala continues to be one of the least favorable destinations when it comes to investments. Because today's smart city project is the classic example of why you should not invest in the state of Kerala. Getting the point here. Moving ahead. Poovarthi, a Maoist violence affected village in Sukma district of Chhattisgarh, turned into a TV broadcast for the first time in its history. The television broadcasts began in India in 1959, and OTT platforms are now a common sight in most urban households for poverty. A community event to watch a host of programs on Doordarshan was its first introduction to the humble television set. Can you even believe it? That for the first time, a TV broadcast have come to a village in Sukma district of Chhattisgarh. For the first time, we are all sitting with our smartphones, etc. They are seeing a television for the first time. Getting the point here? Now, when some people will ask why we should give food ration, why we should give subsidy, why are we giving freebies, or why the people are attracted to freebies? Because in India, basic needs are still a luxury for many. If we go by the numbers of National Food Security Mission, more than 80 crore people, basic needs are a luxury. A TV is not a luxurious item in this age and generation, no doubt about it. But for many in our country, it still is. And as long as the basic needs are not met, call it growth needs, call it existence needs, call it hygiene needs, whatever name you want or terminology you want, you can call it. But there is a significant section of the population that falls under it. And as long as that category belongs to that section, the culture of freebies, minimum support price, subsidies, this will continue to dominate the Indian economic or Indian fiscal policy. Economically, yes, it is damage. It is catastrophic. It will create a lot of damages. In the long run, this is not at all good. It will not create any assets, etc. It is very true. But no choice. When 81 crore people are, more than 81 crore people are still suffering, there is nothing much that we can do regarding this. Clear, people? Coming to the next article here. Morocco welcomes Indian defense companies to set up production units. So, in Morocco, a center is being developed as a defense development hub and open up promising prospects for investors interested in the defense and high-tech sectors, as demonstrated by the new strategic partnership signed between the National Defense Administration and the Tata Group, aimed at local production of the WAP 18-8 ground combat vehicle. What is this? Basically, Morocco can become a hub for Indian defense production. That is what it means. Moroccan government will extend all sorts of support for India. Now, let us read the diplomatic angle or the international affairs angle here. How is this related to paper one? Most of you might be wondering, because that is the catch here. Perfect example for networked governance. Networked governance. Why? Who are the players involved here? Government is involved. Private player is involved. A foreign government is also involved. Correct? Clear, people? So this is the idea. All right, moving on. Center launches Jalwahak scheme for cargo movement through inland waterways. The scheme incentivizes cargo transport to National Waterways 1, Ganga 2, Brahmaputra and 16, and provides an opportunity for the trade interest to explore movement of cargo through waterways with positive economic value proposition. The Jalwahak scheme offers reimbursement of up to 35% of the total operating expenditure incurred. The scheme encourages cargo owners to hire vessels owned or operated by the government entities. The fixed day scheduled sailing service will ply vessels between Kolkata, Patna, Varanasi, Patna, Kolkata stretch of NW1 and between Kolkata and Pandu in Guwahati on NW2 through Indo-Bangladesh Protocol. Overall, what it is? You are exploring inland waterways. And to encourage people to take it up, you are giving what? An incentive. Up to 35% of the total operating expenditure incurred will be reimbursed to encourage things. And again, if you see, scheme encourages cargo owners to hire vessels owned or operated by government entities. To encourage them, you have the 35% of what? Reimbursement happening. It is another way of looking at things. That is, this is again similar to neo-Taylorism, modern form of Taylorism. Why? It's the modern form of DPWP, differential piece wage plan. I know differential piece wage plan actually means what? If the quantity is more and the quality is good, you pay them extra, an incentive. That is the idea. Differential piece wage plans ultimate idea is what? To provide an incentive, which is exactly what Jalwa Haq scheme is also doing, providing an incentive in the form of a reimbursement. That is the first thing. Second thing, obviously, it is what? Systems theory. It is high time that we explore alternate modes of transportation, not only to save on time, but also to reduce pollution, feedback that is coming from the system. Correct? And again, this is again a classic example of what? New public governance also. Correct? You are ultimately trying to serve the people in the best possible way. And it also shows what? Collaboration with a foreign country. Bangladesh again, to help transportation. All right, moving on. Gadchiroli police set up outpost in 24 hours near Maoist heartland. It was built within 24 hours using ballistic-proof US-style defense MAC barriers, a system used in conflict zones like Afghanistan and Iraq, and is the fifth such base established in the district over the past 2 years, all just a few kilometers from the Gadchiroli area, where it is basically like a, what is it? It's a stronghold of the Maoists. Because it is completely covered by thick bushes and forests, it is not very easy to actually penetrate that area also. So bit by bit, our forces are trying to encroach right into Maoist heartland. Now, that is the news. It is using a US-styled defensive MAC barriers, a system used in conflict zones like Afghanistan and Iraq. That means we are literally talking about what? Comparative public administration. That is the first thing. Getting the point here. And that is one thing you can give. The second thing what you can give here is the importance of context, which was emphasized by Minobrook 3 as well as by Blacksburg perspective. Clear, people? Taking it further forward. High Court questions TN over slow response to graft charges against public servants. The Madras High Court on Monday questioned the Tamil Nadu government why it was being very slow to act on charges of corruption and misappropriation against government servants, despite there having been complaints of even basic services not being provided to the people without the greasing of palms. Case of, once again, we can talk about what? Accountability. First thing, that same accountability, I can connect it to NPS. Why NPS? Because in NPS today, it demands that the administration is accountable to legislature, executive, judiciary, media, public, NGOs, civil society organizations, private players, literally to everybody. Administration is answerable. Administration can no more say that I don't have to give answers to you people. Go and ask your elected representatives. Today, administrators conduct, administrators' choice of words, everything matters. Clear, people? So this is a clear case of accountability. Plus, you can even use this as an example of judicial activism. Why the government is not taking action? Clear. Center cautions OTT platforms against glorifying drugs. The ministry set the code of ethics for OTT platforms, provides that a publisher shall not transmit, publish, or exhibit any content prohibited under any law for the time being, in force or by any court of competent jurisdiction. Citing the rules, it issued specific instructions in the in the interest of safeguarding the general public, especially the youth. Urging all platforms to be mindful of their social responsibility in shaping public opinion and behavior through the content offered by them, the ministry requested them to conform to the guidelines in the larger public interest. Non-compliance may result in further regulatory scrutiny, especially in the light of the provisions of the IT Act 2000, read with the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act NDPS 1985. Bottom line is what? You're not supposed to be transmitting content which basically encourages drug intake. Any consumption of narcotic drugs, if it is being transmitted through the OTT platform, proper guidelines should be there for it. It shouldn't actually incite the youth of the country to resort to that drug taking behavior. That is the bottom line. Should the center be doing this? Well, sometimes when we look at the content, there are two arguments to it. When we sometimes look at the content, we definitely feel, how are these being telecasted here? Because OTT platforms, the problem is when kids have access to it. The second thing is, it's a clear case of what? It's a clear case of domination, centralization. Correct? Because literally, center is interfering in each and everything. Today's era has actually moved towards what? It has actually moved towards privatization, or the world is moving towards privatization, neoliberalism. Correct? So in such an era, is it really relevant or is it necessary for the central government to actually decide on these things? Like, this you can showcase, this you shouldn't show, that scene you can show, this scene you shouldn't show. And is it really a critical area for the government to get involved? That is the next question. Entertainment, is it a critical sector? Is it something where government should literally waste its energy on? Counter argument for that again is the fact that Australia, as well as many European, Australia has already done that. They kept an age limit for actually opening and any social media account you want to open. Australia has kept an age limit for it. Other European countries are literally pondering over this. That is, we should also keep an age limit for these things. Because OTT, if you actually look, it's unbridled. At least in the theaters, we can check whether people are coming with their ID card, whether they are having the rightful age or not. In OTT platforms, unfortunately, the issue is it's so open and it is easily accessible. Coming to that same point only, if it is easily accessible, it is even available in the internet. A simple Google will easily show you any content that you want. Then the next $1 million question comes, then is it really necessary to regulate such things? Getting the point here. So, in such a world, where should government be? What type of decision a government should take? Even government also is in a tricky position here. Government cannot regulate it too much. In case, in the event, OTT platforms, it will negatively affect the OTT platforms business in the country. Getting the point here. At the same time, government cannot let it go in such a way that it is totally unregulated also. So it is somewhere in the middle, government have to take a call. That means based on bounded rationality. Clear, people? Moving on. Labour Committee asks Centre to increase minimum PF pension. The Parliamentary Standing Committee on Labour, headed by senior BJP leader Basavaraj Bommai, has recommended the Centre to increase the ₹1,000 minimum pension paid by the Employees Provident Fund Organization under its Employees Pension Scheme. Now, if you remember, there have been quite a number of articles coming out now with regard to parliamentary committees. Parliamentary Committee on MSP, Parliamentary Committee now on EPF rules, etc. Just collate and keep it. Again, the highlight is simple. Informal group, informal groups, then participative decision making. Clear? All of the network governance, Metrics organization. You can link it with each and every one of this. Clear, people? Moving on. The distribution of the urban female workforce in J&K across three major sectors. Data for those aged 15 years and above. Agriculture sector, secondary sector, tertiary sector. July to September 2018 basically showed that in the agriculture sector, 13.2% were there. Majority of the people were, or females were, part of the tertiary sector, that is a service sector. Coming to 2024, July to September 2024, what we are seeing is an increase in the number of women in agriculture and a serious drop from the service sector. Why? What has changed now? Economic conditions have changed. COVID was the major reason. Now, once again, this will prompt what? This will prompt poor productivity in agriculture, because this is out of distress. Nobody actually switches to agriculture in India out of complete interest. I mean, I cannot say nobody. People are there who leave their, service sector jobs and take up agriculture. But when women, especially from Jammu and Kashmir, is doing it from 61.7, the drop is 27.6, or rather 47.6. From 13.2, it doubled in 6 years. It only shows the distress that is there in the economy. That is the reality. So what is happening here? It is fear. Fear of not being able to satisfy your basic needs. As a result of which, they have moved towards what? Moved towards this particular sector, agriculture sector. So, what I've been telling you in my class also, basic needs or existence needs or hygiene needs. This is the main reason for this behavior, because if your job is not good enough, people will automatically switch over to whatever job is available right now to satisfy the basics. Clear, people? CAG grabs ONGC and NHAI among 16 public sector entities. Now, this is very, very important, because PSU is also a chapter in your paper 2, chapter 3. The Comptroller and Auditor General of India, in a compliance audit report on central public sector enterprises, pulled up 16 government-owned entities for governance lapses that resulted in adverse financial implications of 3,437.3 crore, with ONGC and the NHAI accounting for well over a third of the financial infirmities. The biggest observation from the CAG's report tabled in Parliament on Monday pertains to what it termed an imprudent decision by ONGC to capture a 70% participating interest in a gas block, despite its technical panel assessing that it had a mere 11.2% shortage success. It led to a wasteful expenditure of 557.6 crore, as well as a failure to recover the partner contractor share of 132.9 crore. What is the bottom line? Imagine this much. If you're a private player, you have to make an investment decision. And in that investment decision, you saw that there is only 11% chance of success, whereas there is an 89% chance of failure. On any day, any sensible investor, what he or she will do is they will look into the facts. See, if it is something like 60-40, 57-43, etc., we can take a risk. But when there is an 89% guarantee that this is going to be a failure, no private player will take that risk. It is not worth it. Whereas ONGC went ahead and did it. Thereby, the cumulative loss was more than or close to 600 crore. From one public sector unit itself, the loss for the government or people's money is 600 crore. The CAG also wrapped the NHAI for lapses worth almost 445 crore, including a case of extended undue benefit of 203.1 crore to contractors in highway projects in Maharashtra. That means favoritism, nepotism. Correct? That means this is again a case for what? Why we need disinvestment, why we need NPM. The last one, government's role should be minimized. Clear, people? Panel led by ex-ISRO chief advises NTA's restructuring. A high-level committee of experts headed by former chairperson of the ISRO, K. Radhakrishnan, has recommended restructuring of National Testing Agency. That means whenever an issue occurs, you put a committee and you find out what is the issue there. That means what are we doing here? This is the classic case of double loop learning and or root learning. Why double loop learning? Some of you might be, but sir, isn't it branch? NTA is still there. They have not revamped the NTA. Agreed. You're right on that. But notice this. It is complete restructuring. Agency is there. But literally from scratch, you are eliminating whatever things were there. Single loop learning means what? Okay, this did not work. Okay, then let us try doing this. That's it. The policies or the methods, if this policy doesn't work, let us try this policy. That's all. Double loop learning means you're literally going into the root cause of the problem and then rectifying it. Your root cause has been found with what? NTA structuring itself, the way they are running the show. So they are literally recommended what? Complete restructuring, making all the exams online so as to create, or rather create an atmosphere of trust surrounding the conduct of NTA with regard to competitive exams. Clear, people? MGNREGS wages do not match rising cost of living. House panel. A parliamentary panel has made a strong case for increasing wages of MGNREGS workers, finding the current payment not in consonance with the rising cost of living. Echoing the long-standing demand of farmers' organization, Standing Committee of Parliament on Agriculture, headed by Congress leader and former Punjab Chief Minister Charanjit Singh, has recommended legally guaranteed minimum support price. The panel said a legally binding MSP system could play a crucial role in reducing farmer suicides in India by providing financial stability, protecting against market volatility, alleviating debt burdens, and improving overall mental health among farmers. Again, as you can clearly see, this is the third article today, what we are seeing, which is to deal with what? Parliamentary panel. Parliamentary panel we saw with regard to Provident Fund, then obviously legalizing MSP, and then increasing the wages of Narega. Like I told you, these are all the ways and means by which we can give highlight of participatory governance, networked administration, consultative decision making, all of that you can give here. But apart from this, what else can we give? What other example? Definitely, we can highlight this even under the ways by which Parliament keeps a check on the executive. There also you can highlight these examples. Apart from that, if you actually look at this, what is the main other theories that you can link here? You can again bring systems theory here. Why? It is interacting with the environment and giving the feedback. Getting the picture here. Then talking about legally guaranteed minimum support price. Now the government or the parliamentary panel is actually telling this is the best solution. Bring MSP under law or make it legally protected so that farmers will feel relief, etc. This is the best decision. This is the best decision. It actually looks like a decision that is based out of bounded rationality. Why? Because all these years of MSP has only helped what? Rice, wheat, sugarcane, and maybe cotton farmers. For the rest of the products, if you actually see, it has not actually helped them. So legalizing MSP, to what extent it will help the farmers, is the $1,000,000 question. Why am I calling it a decision based on bounded rationality? Is only because if you bring that law right now, it will pacify the farmers who are protesting in the Punjab, Haryana region. It will calm them down. But it is not, evidence suggests that in this last 75 years, whatever we have seen since independence, nothing has changed. With regard to MSP, it has not actually changed the fortunes of our farmers actually. Clear, people? Taking it further forward, sewer, septic tank cleaning and occupation-based work government. Of these, 67.91 were from SC community, 15.73% were from OBC community, 8.31% were from STs, and 8.05% were from general category. And this is part of the Namaste program, a scheme to mechanize all sewer work and prevent deaths due to hazardous cleaning work. So government is telling that septic tank cleaning is an occupation-based government work and it has got nothing to do with the caste of a person. But if one were to look at the facts here, close to 68% are from SC, then 15.73 from OBC, 8.3% were from STs, and 8% were from general category. So what is our understanding here? The understanding is very simple. From general category, it is an abysmally low percentage that actually takes part in this manual scavenging work. Therefore, one cannot say that there is no influence of caste here. So even if government wants to see it as an occupation-based government, let me just mention to you one thinker here. We have not discussed about her in the class. It's Kathy Ferguson. Because she is not so important also. That is another reason. What she basically told is, any bureaucracy of a society is a reflection of the society. It's a reflection of the society. So the bureaucracy also will be a function of it. So if the society is having a caste-based outlook, bureaucracy will more or less work in that same fashion. Because why am I specifying this in this fashion here is, in the normal bureaucracy that is consisting of from IAS all the way to bottom services, state services, panchayat services, etc. In all those areas, you will generally find general category dominating OBC, SC, ST, and whichever other communities are there. General category is huge in number. But the moment we talk about manual scavenging, etc., then what are we witnessing? We are witnessing it to be a reflection of the type of society that we are. That is, at the highest level, you have representation from SC. At the lowest level, you have representation from general category. Getting the point here? So this clearly shows what? It is a reflection of our society. That's it. Kathy Ferguson's one idea. You can read about her in the, in the book by Mohit Bhattacharya, New Horizons of Public Administration. Clear, people? Moving on. The Supreme Court on Wednesday assured protesting farmers that its doors are always open to them, while urging the Punjab government to provide immediate medical aid to 73-year-old farmers leader Jagjit Singh Dalewal, who is on a fast unto death. The Supreme Court on Friday proposed a tree census to be conducted by the Tree Authority in the national capital by employing the Forest Survey of India, formulate policy to manage sacred groves. Supreme Court tells government, Union Environment Ministry asked to develop plan for a nationwide survey of groves which are traditionally safeguarded by local communities for its ecological value and cultural significance. The Kerala High Court said on Thursday that those who wanted to complain on the sexual harassment in the Malayalam film industry and did not want to appear before the K. Hema committee can file their grievances with the nodal officer before January 31st. All these are what examples of judicial activism. To tell that the doors are always open for the protesters, to say that to conduct a tree census by the tree authority utilizing the help of Forest Survey of India, formulate a policy, asking the Union Ministry of Environment and Forest to formulate a policy for protecting the sacred groves which till now were being protected by the local communities. And finally, the case of sexual harassment that has taken place in the Malayalam film industry. With regard to that, what has to be done? All of these are examples of judicial activism. Plus, you can also see in this particular case, it is judiciary, farmers, central government, state government. Here it is the Legislative Assembly of Union Territory or the Delhi government, then the Supreme Court, the Tree Authority, then the Forest Survey of India. Here again, Union Ministry, Supreme Court, tribal people. So overall, you can see it's all about what? Interacting, integration. Correct. Multiple players are coming together. And what is judiciary doing there? So judiciary is actually trying to integrate, bring about an integration. This role was always there. Nobody's dead. But these days, it is becoming more and more active. Judiciary's integrating role. UCC will be implemented in Uttarakhand from January. The Uniform Civil Code will be implemented in Uttarakhand from January, Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami said on Wednesday. During a meeting of the Uttarakhand Investment and Infrastructure Development Board in Dehradun, Mr. Dhami said the state government has completed its homework and UCC will be implemented from January 2025. With this, Uttarakhand will become the first state in the country to implement UCC after independence. So, as you can clearly see, this is again an example of what? Domination, I would say. If you have the right number in the parliament or in the legislative assembly, you can literally bring in new bills or laws which will not face much opposition in getting it passed. So domination is definitely there. If you're able to dominate in the legislature, you can pass any policy. Number one. Number two, if you actually see on the last day of campaigning for the 2022 assembly election, Mr. Dhami had promised to implement UCC if the BJP retained power in the state. Means what? It was an electoral promise. That means you have the support of the majority. The majority is actually supporting things, then you can get it implemented. Or in other words, if your bills or laws are within the zone of indifference or zone of acceptance, you're not going to find much resistance. Clear, people? Government school principal in Bihar caught on camera stealing eggs meant to be served to students. Sources in the education department said there is a possibility that the principal may be forgiven as he is set to retire in January next year, and a suspension order or any other action can affect his post-retirement benefits. Just look at it. Egg meant for small children. As soon as the truck arrives there to serve the midday meal food, the ration or be it the food for the children there, he will go with a plastic box, a container, put the eggs into that container and he will take it away. And this basically, this part of the article clearly tells us that the principal, there is a high chance that he is very guilty. He is guilty of the crime that is being alleged because it is there on camera, it has been recorded. But now look at the logic and the justification. Because he is going to retire, let us not take any harsh decisions on him because he won't get his post-retirement benefit. This is where if punishment is not met out, if punishment is not there, then why will anybody be accountable? Why will anybody be sincere? That is $1 million question. This is also the reason why corrupt practices keeps happening in the country. So this is again an example of theory X. Immaturity theory. Clear, people? TN search panel order violates Supreme Court judgments. Ravi. In yet another rift between the Tamil Nadu government and Governor R.N. Ravi, the Raj Bhavan on Wednesday said the Higher Education Department's government order dated December 9 notifying the search committee of Annamalai University for identifying the candidates for appointment as VC and to be published in the official gazette purposefully excluded the UGC chairman's nominee. So like I told you, this has always been a bone of contention. That is the tussle between the governor and CM. And governor's role as VC has come in for serious criticism in the state of West Bengal, the state of Kerala, in the state of Tamil Nadu. And let me tell you, this topic will be coming in the newspaper no matter what. Center, state, governor. These three things will never go out of fashion as long as Indian Constitution is existing in the way it is. Getting the point here, it will keep coming in the paper. So, here also, the interesting thing is, court has already held in the case of Srijit PS versus Rajashri MS and others that any appointment as a VC made on the recommendations of a two-member search committee, which is constituted contrary to the provisions of the UGC regulations, shall be void ab initio. Any act that never had any legal effect, it pointed out. That means a standing Supreme Court ruling is there with regard to the constitution of the search committee for the VC. It is a clear violation of that. That means state is also showing what? Dominative behavior. And there's a constant case of conflict between governor and CM. Clear, people? All 17,130 police stations in the country linked through centralized online platforms within, that is CCTNS. A centralized online platform to file first information reports, charge sheets, and investigation reports. The online database can be accessed by law enforcement across the country, e-governance or digital governance. System has past and current crime records, including details of an accused, charge-sheeted persons, convicts, habitual offender, proclaimed offender, and others. The police can also search the database for missing persons, unidentified bodies, and stolen vehicles involved in crime incidents. The platform can generate analytical reports regarding criminal cases, property cases, and crime statistics at the police station level itself. That means you are having access to data right from the grassroots level. That is, this is a clear example of positivism. The changes include seeking permission of senior officers before making arrests in certain cases, providing information of arrest to relatives or friends, designated police officer, and display of arrest information, serving of summons, provision to send daily diary reports to the magistrate on a fortnightly basis, forensic investigation in all cases punishable with imprisonment for more than 7 years, mandatory videography of the crime scene and forensic evidence collection, biological samples to be collected on request of any police officer, police to inform progress of the investigation to the victim within 90 days, and new timelines under the new laws. The scope of CCTNS has been enhanced over the years to integrate the police data with other pillars of the criminal justice system, namely courts, prisons, prosecution, forensics, and fingerprints, and accordingly a new system called the integrated criminal justice system has been developed. That means who all are involved there? Courts, prisons, prosecution, the forensics, the cops, all into one single system. Getting the point here? Perfect example of integration, perfect example of conflict resolution, perfect example of increasing the conviction rate, improving the FIR, filing of FIR, all of that you can highlight it here. Very, very important, people. Please note it down. Farmer outfits reject center's draft policy on agri marketing. In a letter to the, that is the first one. And the second example, if you see, in a letter to the DGCA, Indigo and Air India Group have opposed the regulator's proposal to reduce night flying for pilots. Again, like I told you, this is the importance of informal groups, two-way communication. Clear, people? BJD asks why IAS officer was summoned in corruption case by CBI but minister excluded. The Kerala government department has started taking action against employees who have illegally drawn social security pensions meant for the disadvantaged sections of the society. The Soil Survey and Soil Conservation Department has placed 6 employees under suspension pending inquiry. Animal Husbandry Department 74 and the Dairy Development Department 4 also have initiated action against employees who were among the 1,458 government employees who were found to have illegally availed of these pensions. That means social security pension meant for the disadvantaged sections of the society has been misappropriated by the state government servants of the state of Kerala. On another side, why IAS officer was summoned in corruption case in CBI but minister was excluded? They are asking. Again, all of this is what behavior? Theory X behavior, number 1. Second thing, like I told you, any corruption case happens, it's always the IAS officer who will face the music. Ministers will get bail and they will come out of it easily. It is not the same with IAS officers. So for the love of God, never ever indulge in corruption. Take your transfer and go home. That has far more dignity. Get your district or get your posting change. That has far more dignity than indulging in all this nonsense. Clear, people? Taking the discussion further forward. The Southern Bench of the National Green Tribunal on Thursday directed the Kerala government and the Kerala State Pollution Control Board to remove in 3 days the biomedical and mixed solid waste dumped in villages of Tirunelveli district in Tamil Nadu. The Kerala government was yet to settle outstanding dues of 69,000 rupees. Hence, the Revenue Department instructed authorities in Tamil Nadu not to remove the waste this time. Again, what type of behavior is being exhibited here by the Kerala government and Kerala State Pollution Control Board? What type of behavior is this? No, they have no sense of responsibility. Because what they have done is literally, they have taken the biomedical waste that have been generated in the city of Trivandrum and they have literally gone and dumped it in few districts in Tamil Nadu. And this is not the first time that they are doing it. Getting the point here. On top of it, one more question somebody needs to ask here is, such a huge amount of garbage was brought in trucks. So what has happened to the checkpoints in the border area? When interstate such a vehicle is coming with this level of garbage, why wasn't it stopped at the border area itself? That is the question that needs to be answered here. Clear? Moving on. Delhi government imposes ban on firecrackers throughout the year. So, Delhi government, is it the right thing to do? Ban firecrackers. From Delhi government side, it is absolutely correct. But when we look into the fate of 150 firecracker dealers, what is the next thing? Any such ban is actually what? Sad news for the firecracker dealers. And what the firecracker dealers are telling is that when Delhi government came out with such a policy, they never actually discussed it with them. That is, the government never discussed it with the firecracker dealers. Now, this will obviously lead to a lot of conflict, which will go to the court. Getting the picture here, because it is not just in the Delhi region now, the national capital region, UP, Haryana, Rajasthan, everywhere now, whichever comes under the NCR region, they all will have to impose what? A complete ban. Getting the point here. Earlier, this ban used to be only for a few months, but now it is for the whole year. Whole year, not a single firecracker should be burnt in Delhi. Clear, people? Ekalavya schools struggle to meet 5% PVTG subquota, dropouts on the rise. PVTG means particularly vulnerable tribal groups. So states from where maximum students came from are Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Odisha and Gujarat. And they were struggling to meet the 5% quota. Now, what is the reason that many PVTGs, that is particularly vulnerable tribal group, are dropping out, or many, it is, or the numbers are very less? One major reason, definitely different lifestyle. Their lifestyle and formal schooling does not go hand in glove together. Then obviously there is the language issue. That is also there. Third thing, preference for private schools. Because of all the three, what is happening? Number of PVTGs who are joining Ekalavya schools have drastically gone down. Fine, we understood the reason. But how are we going to link it with paper 1, paper 2, paper 3 theories? Paper 1 theories basically. Now the thing is, if you actually notice, this is a clear case of incrementalism. Correct? You have given target, increase it 5%. Without changing the bottom level issues, there is no point in increasing the target to 5% or 10% or 15%. Ground level reality, what it is. What is the difference between practicing the theory of public administration and its actual implementation? Huge. So without addressing the core issues, nothing is going to change. Incrementalism this is. You are trying to make small increases, small changes here and there. Getting the point here. Taking it further forward. In a step towards discouraging foreign imports of components used in solar panel manufacturing, Ministry of New and Renewable Energy has set a deadline of June 2026, after which solar companies must use only India-made solar photovoltaic cells in their panels to participate in government procurement programs. Earlier this year, the MNRE introduced a approved list of module manufacturers. Those setting up solar installations and wishing to avail of government subsidies necessarily had to source modules only from these manufacturers. That means in our inland waterway scheme also we saw government was ready to reimburse up to 35% of the cost if you are procuring the vessels from government and government entities. Similarly, here also, any subsidies that are necessary in the manufacture of solar power plants, etc., if you need any subsidy, you have to source them from India itself, not from China, or for that matter, it shouldn't come from anywhere abroad. This is why, to encourage more innovation, to encourage the production, or to encourage the domestic manufacturing of solar power panels. That is the idea. That is the purpose here. Idea, everything is good, but to what extent this will work out is the next $1 million question. Because even to get the raw materials for manufacturing these power panels, we have to depend on China. China is literally having a monopoly in these things. Getting the point here. So yes, we can definitely highlight systems theory. Number 2, incentive system. Correct. So these are the few things. Moving on. In a major boost to the development of Amaravati, the greenfield capital city of Andhra Pradesh, the World Bank on Thursday approved 800 million loan for the Amaravati Integrated Urban Development Program as per a request made by the center. Best example for multiple organizations getting involved for one single project. State, international organization, center. With data use increasing year on year, India's undersea cable network is growing. 2 new cable systems are set to be launched in the coming months. The India Asia Express and the India Europe Express, both connecting India with additional internet links to the two countries, to the two continents. This comes even as India takes a more active role in discussions around submarine cable security and resilience. So Jio and China Mobile, these are the two companies that are involved here. And IAX will connect Chennai and Mumbai with Singapore, Thailand and Malaysia in Asia. And the IEX will connect them with France, Greece, Saudi Arabia, Egypt and Djibouti. This adds to the dozens of cables landing in India, mainly in Mumbai and Chennai. Purest example of where things are headed to. That is, single-handedly one country alone being a superpower, those are days of the past. Today it is all about integration and collaboration. Clear, people? Moving on. FSSAI seeks quarterly data on rejected expired food items. Why? Because sometimes this rejected and expired food items, what they will do is they will take it, rebrand it with a new manufacturing date and a new expiry date. Food is the same. So FSSAI is seeking quarterly data on all of this. FSSAI has directed all licensed food manufacturers and importers to submit quarterly data on such foodstuffs through an online portal. Once again, we are talking about governance, and that too digital. Like I told you, future, make no mistake, it's only digital and digital governance that will be there everywhere. Everything with internet becoming more and more cheaper, digital governance will be a walk in the park. Clear? Taking the discussion further forward, the Calcutta High Court on Friday allowed representatives of the West Bengal Junior Doctors Front to hold protests in the Esplanade area of Kolkata over the rape and murder of a trainee doctor at the RG Kar Medical College and Hospital earlier this year, but restricted the gathering to 200 to 250 members at a time. This is now the High Court. Supreme Court basically telling the farmers that our doors are always open for you. High Court basically allowing junior doctors to conduct protest in a certain area. Now all this clearly shows what? Courts are directly engaging with the public today. Courts are no more objectively looking into the law anymore. Courts are also looking into the pulse as well as the emotions of the people. Getting the point here. The right to protest, yes, it is a fundamental right. There is no doubt about it. Everybody have a right to protest. They have the right to tell their displeasure. And here, the court is supporting it. Getting the point here. So if you look at the whole news article, what do we understand? Supreme Court supporting farmers and telling that our doors are always open to you. Calcutta High Court telling the junior trainee doctors that they can definitely go and protest. So the right to protest is being recognized by the judiciary. Judiciary is understanding the pulse of the public and judiciary is indulging in the same way. That means if you actually look into it, judiciary is more or less following an anti-positivist stance. Clear, people? Moving on. In seeking rupees 4,500 crore in the Union Budget 2025-26 for building climate resilience, Kerala has drawn attention to a significant economic burden on account of climate-related disasters and the need to build resilience through anticipatory measures. Initiatives planned by the Kerala State Climate Change Adaptation Mission for focused resilience building will require an initial finance requirement of 22,500 crore between 2025 and 2030, State Finance Minister K.N. Balagopal explained. State of Kerala has been ravaged by back-to-back disasters. So in that sense, they are demanding it. Now, why it is needed? To build resilience against any adverse climate change events and the resulting disaster from it. So this is again what? A demand from the system. Union Home Minister Amit Shah said on Saturday the police in the northeastern states should change their orientation. And instead of their sole focus being on combating insurgency, they should ensure that every citizen is granted their constitutional right to property, honor, and family protection. To have values, that is the bottom line. Don't always think about, okay, I have to fight insurgency, only insurgency. No. You have to also look into the other aspects of it. He mentioned that the prerequisite for achieving this change is the complete implementation of 3 new criminal laws across all states in the region. He was addressing the 72nd plenary of the Northeastern Council at Agartala in Tripura. The minister urged all the governors present at the meeting to personally monitor this process, as it is crucial to establish the belief in the Northeast that citizens can obtain justice through filing an FIR. So very, very important. And he is also asking the governor to ensure that these things are happening there. Getting the point here? Union Home Minister asking the governor to ensure that the 3 new laws are being implemented properly in the Northeast states. Clear, people? That means it's almost like giving a new role. Correct? A new role to the governor. Because in the constitution, you will never see anywhere that governor has to literally check whether the center's rules are being implemented properly in the state or not. Center's direction has to be followed by the state. That is there. Getting the point? So they're asking the governor also to keep a look into it. Like a check. Getting the picture here. Why? Again, systems theory. That is the new demand. Governor is also the integrating, has a role of an integrator between the center and the state. Clear? The Uttar Pradesh police on Saturday announced its plans to enlist social media influencers and college students as digital warriors to combat circulation of fake news and strengthen the fight against cyber crimes. The initiative said that the digital warriors will raise awareness of misleading news, train ordinary citizens against cyber crimes, and publicize the campaigns of police. Again, you can see, I know this is again an informal structure here. You're ready to collaborate, you're ready to network, and this is new public service. This is everything that is latest. You're directly engaging with the citizens to find solutions. Clear? In Bihar, libraries as windows to the world. Didi Ki libraries in Bihar, set up by the state government under a World Bank funded project, offer a range of services to children living in rural areas. Amit Behleyare reports on the way these community libraries are giving children a space to learn, grow, and prepare themselves for competitive examinations, seen as a chance at a life with monetary security. Didi Ki libraries, state government, set up by the state government, funded by World Bank. Getting the point here? And these libraries are actually becoming the foundation for the children to ensure monetary security by cracking competitive exams. So, collaboration, basic needs, existence needs, self-esteem needs, growth needs, hygiene needs, all of that you can put it over here. Clear, people? On December 26, it will be 3 years since the center sent the last tranche of funds under the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme to West Bengal. The funds have been withheld by the center since December 2021, citing irregularities in implementation of the program in the state. Once again, we are talking about accountability. Clear, people? Rupee 1.8 lakh crore. The state government on Sunday said it will now ensure conversion of memorandum of understanding into investment on the ground within a year. Means what? That means 1.8 lakh crore worth of investments have flown into Bihar. All right. Many MOUs have been signed. And these MOUs will be turned into investment on the ground within a year. In a statement, Chief Secretary Amritlal Meena said, one nodal officer for every 5 to 10 MOUs. There will be one contact officer. And the purpose of that officer will be what? To ensure that everything goes through smoothly. Will be nominated by the government to bring about ease of doing business. These nodal officers will cover all 11 sectors for which proposals have come forth and will help the investors in securing the land and all other clearances, he said. Progress will be reviewed periodically by the State Investment Promotion Board. New public management, or using the principles of new public management, or directly you can mention it's new public governance, because number one, you're signing MOU. When you sign an MOU, what is the first and foremost advantage? You can quantify things. You can literally see what is the investment, what is the target sector, how much employment will be created. Everything is quantifiable, verifiable data. Number one. Number two, you're keeping one officer in charge. That officer will be in charge of all the clearances and ensuring that everything goes through smoothly. That means very less red tapeism, very less ritualism, formalism, all of that. Number three, overall, who will be looking at managing things? The State Investment Promotion Board. Clear? That means we are actually talking about what? We are actually talking about a system which is very similar to a top-down approach, but not necessarily so. Why? State Investment Promotion Board is there at the top, no doubt. SIPB is there at the top, and this will basically be monitoring the work done by each nodal officer. So even though it looks top down, it is only what? Monitoring things. Real work is done by the officer. So this is the new neo-Weber's model. The new bureaucracy is like this, is a facilitator. He is not somebody who is indulging in rules, formalism, red tapeism. He is a facilitator. So he will ensure that all the documents, all the clearances, everything is necessary, everything is there, so that the investment comes through smoothly. Clear, people? Moving on. Tamil Nadu, which records at least 150 cases of mumps in a month now, had earlier this year requested the union government to consider adding the mumps vaccine to the universal immunization program. Once again, bottom-up communication, system theory. Correct. Moving on. Residents of Sheva Kolivada, a transit camp in Uran Taluk of Maharashtra's Raigad district, have received a verbal assurance from a senior official of the government that they would be provided permanent homes soon. The villagers have been living in the transit camp for 40 years after being relocated from their village where the Jawaharlal Nehru port stands now. Just look at the irony, man. That is 40 years ago. These people were moved out of the place where they were staying, telling that now they will be taken to a temporary camp, and after that we will give you permanent residence. That was never given to them. It's been more than 40 years. The people basically threatened the whole administration, telling that we are not going to take part in the election. We are going to boycott all the election. That is when they met again, they discussed something, and then they said, no, we will do this, we will do that, etc. Temporarily just giving them some relief. That is what they are claiming. They don't trust them anymore. Earlier, an association of displaced women of Sheva Kolivada had said they would stage a protest on Saturday by blocking the JNPA's navigation. Following the meet in New Delhi, the agitation stands postponed to January 22, 2025. Getting the point here, people? Once again, what is this sort of behavior again? This is the classic example of, again, what red tapeism, how red tapeism can ruin the lives of people. Clear? Moving on. Sunny Leon, beneficiary of Chhattisgarh government cash dole. Sunny Leon has been a beneficiary of the Chhattisgarh government's Maha Tari Vandan Yojana and has withdrawn rupees 10,000 from a bank account in Bastar. So says the inquiry into a case in which money was fraudulently withdrawn using the actor's name under the scheme. The scheme is a direct cash incentive scheme under which rupees 1,000 is given to eligible married women in the state. The website through which data on the beneficiaries can be publicly accessed shows the name of the beneficiary as Sunny Leon and her husband's name as Johnny Sins, both misspelled names of the actors. This is the reason why we need what? Aadhaar enabled payment system. This is why we need technology. Because this clearly shows that whatever, they are everybody is going on announcing scheme freebies after freebies, whether they are really eligible, whether they are genuinely a beneficiary, whether they are really in a need of it, no cross-checking, no verification, nothing is being done, and simply money is being doled out. And we found here very clearly that now Sunny Leon apparently has withdrawn 10,000 rupees. Can you even imagine that? Another pawn actor, Mr. Johnny Sins, has been named as her husband. So somebody is having a very good sense of humor. That much is so guaranteed. But the fact of the matter here is this shows the sad plight of the schemes in our country where people who are actually eligible for the amount, they don't get it. People who are not at all deserving, they make a fool out of the system. Delhi government reassessing conjugal visits in prisons after initiative halted in Punjab. What is this? That is, in Punjab, basically, they started with this whole system where conjugal visits are allowed. Conjugal visits means if a prisoner is there, he and his wife can have a certain private moment in a certain place allocated for it. Private moment means, they can indulge basically in a physical activity there together. Sexual activity, let me put it very bluntly only. Now, that whole system has been put on hold where in Punjab, because they are definitely running into a lot of troubles there. So Delhi government is carefully observing it before they decide whether or not to implement it in Tihar. Clear, people? Classic example of comparative public administration. The Public Accounts Committee headed by senior Congress leader K.C. Venugopal in a report table during the recently concluded winter session of Parliament revealed that the ministries of Finance, Defense, Railways and Chemical and Fertilizers spent 1,291.14 crore in excess of the 2021-22 budget sanctioned by the Parliament. Overspending should not continue in the age of e-governance and e-payment systems, where ministries have access to real-time tools to monitor expenditure. This is what Public Accounts Committee has told. Again, why we need or the importance of parliamentary committees. The Supreme Court has said in a judgment that the government, one of the largest employers in the country, must not emulate the precarious employment arrangements seen in the private sector with rise of the gig economy. In the private sector, the rise of the gig economy has led to an increase in precarious employment arrangements, often characterized by lack of benefits, job security, and fair treatment. Such practices have been criticized for exploiting workers and undermining labor standards. Government institutions entrusted with upholding the principles of fairness and justice bear an even greater responsibility to avoid such exploitative employment practices. Exploitation and misuse of temporary contractual staff by public sector entities not only mirrors the detrimental trends observed in a gig economy, but also sparks a concern. What is the whole thing about? See, basically in private companies, we know one thing, that they take people on contract basis. They hire and fire them at will. It's very easy. That is, after 6 months, contract is over. Tata, bye-bye. Government also started doing this. It is already there. In many PSUs, it is there. Many government departments, it is there. Generally, like I've told it in my class, the cleaning staff or the drivers or even the peons today, these are all actually what hired from private companies. And any point of time, government can change the contract. give it to another private company, get a new set of staff, especially at the group D level. It is very easy. Government was also getting very comfortable with this idea because it was saving huge money for the government. But now Supreme Court has come down on it very heavily. Supreme Court is telling that this is something which private players will do. They are exploiting it for their profit motive. How can government do that? That means the Supreme Court ruling basically goes against the whole idea of what? Entrepreneurial government. It goes against this idea because a government has to try to reduce its revenue expenditure, and to reduce the revenue expenditure means what? Reducing on the salary, reducing on the pension. And if the court is telling now that you cannot do it, you shouldn't be doing this, if somebody has worked for you, that is you as in for the government, you have to regularize them. Regularizing means what? Giving them permanent employment, treating them as a government employee. That means they will get all the benefits. This is again a case of what? Judicial overreach. This is in fact a case of judicial overreach. Because if literally now if government cannot privatize things or government cannot contract things out, the single ruling can make literally put the government in trouble. The expenditure will skyrocket. Government will have to start giving out pension. Getting the point here? And all of this will affect what? The overall administration. Because now because in private at least one thing is there. If government has hired me for 6 months on a contract, I am not doing a good job, government can fire me like that. Government can straight away complain to my owner and tell that we are terminating the contract. But now, the moment I become regularized, now what happens? It is no more easy to fire me now. I can continue whatever nonsense I am doing, I can still continue it. Getting the point here? So this is not actually, this may sound as if it is for the benefit of the public, we should treat them equally, we should do it in fairness and justice. But this level of too much of orientation towards the values will lead to the government losing its business-like qualities to work efficiently, effectively. The December 20 judgment was based on appeals filed by cleaning and gardening staff employed at the Central Water Commission. They were not regularized. The Central Administrative Tribunal and the Delhi High Court agreed. 1 minute. And the Delhi High Court agreed that they were only part-time workers not appointed against sanctioned posts and had not completed the full-time service to satisfy the criteria for regularization. Besides, the two fora held that regularization cannot be sought as a matter of right. Now understand here. Tribunal as well as the Delhi High Court basically told that regularization cannot be claimed as a matter of right. Now, regularization is generally applied when you have completed a certain term. 2 years, 3 years, you have completed, then you apply it. Here, if you see, they have not even completed it. The court set aside their termination from work and ordered their immediate regularization. Courts ought to look beyond surface labels and consider the realities of employment, continuous long-term service, indispensable duties, and absence of any illegalities in their appointments. The court said that India was one of the founding members of the International Labour Organization, which was consistently advocated for employment stability and the fair treatment of workers, particularly in the context in which job discontinuation could exacerbate long-term unemployment. So this is not actually a good news, trust me. From a government point of view, this is actually bad news, because now this petition can be highlighted. This judgment can be highlighted by other cleaning staff and other people working on a contractual basis with the government. They can on any day quote this and ask for what? Complete regularization. This can even be put applicable for jobs with the state government also. Getting the point here, this will only breach what? The fiscal deficit target, which is already breached. It will only keep breaching it further. And on top of it, because it becomes a government job now, the responsibility towards it, from theory Y, they will start showing theory X behavior. Clear, people? India is reviewing a decade-old $30 billion program requiring coal-fired power plants to install equipment to cut sulfur emissions after government-backed studies showed they had little impact on curbing pollution. So doing a review of a decade-old, 10-year-old, $30 billion program to reduce the emissions that are coming from coal power plants. So it's just single loop learning. They made investment in something. It is not working. They decided not to do it anymore. That's it. They'll look into some other alternative. It's not that the whole foundation, everything has been changed. Only that particular plan. Clear? So with that, we come to an end of our December month current affair discussion. Let me know in the comment section as well as in my Telegram channel what do you think of it. All right. And if at all you have any other suggestion with regard to public administration which you want me to take up in this platform, please do let me know. I'll consult it with my team, and if they also agree to it, well, we will get it done. All right, people, have a fantastic day. Please go through it, because repeatedly when you go through these articles only, you will remember it. That way, you will also get to know what potential question can come for paper 2 in 2025 mains. All right, take care, people.